This is the Mountainside podcast, and joining us in the studio is Dede Finder. He's a writer and author. His most recent book is titled Ready Left, Ready Right. Dede has spent a majority of his adult life helping others through enlisting in the Peace Corps to help with World Aid. He was a first responder as a paramedic on a helicopter unit, in-flight nurse to help hospital transport, and is currently still working in the medical field today. But above all that, Dede is one amazing human. I really enjoyed sitting down and getting to know him for the first time today. This was a great conversation.
I created a playlist right here, and I'm big on like the classic rock and roll. The problem is we can't start the podcast that way.
I want to ask you this on air.
Here we go. We're going. So,
dude, so good to be here, man.
Yeah.
I got to ask you right away.
Okay.
So the opening to the Mountainside podcast, that guitar riff that I hear it sounds like a Godsmack guitar riff. And it's been bugging me. All the episodes I've been listening to, I'm like, where is that from? Is that just one of your buddies making that up? Or
we own that. If anybody plays it, I'll sue the shit out of you. No,
I'm
just
awesome,
kidding, dude.
Man.
Please do. Full liberty to use that song wherever. It's actually really cool backstory. How long have you been listening to the podcast?
When Brandon Young got on this podcast, I have been taking a deep dive into it. So
really?
It's been about 2 months, I think, when he was on his first episode.
Yeah. St. Patty's Day, actually, we sat here.
St. Patty's Day, nice.
Very cool. Shout out to Brandon. What an amazing human, right?
That dude.
And that's how you and I know each other.
Yeah, that guy is a badass. I work with his wife. And his wife,
shit.
Kelly, introduced me to Brandon. And so I hung out with Brandon a little bit before that episode. But he just came out with his book, Perseverance is Greater Than Endurance. Kelly says, hey, Brandon's husband just wrote a book. I was like, sweet, I got to read it. I'm an author. I got to read this book. I read it, and like yourself, it is so profound. There is so much shit that I got out of that book, and it's about leadership, but it's more than that. So after reading the book, I text Brandon. I was like, that book is just absolutely phenomenal. We got to get together. And then I heard him on the podcast, and then since then we just been bros. That guy he's such a great guy.
So solid. Yeah. We instantly became friends, like here at this table, so very cool.
And that podcast too with Brandon. Sorry to cut you off.
You're good.
That podcast gave me so much fuel to get ready for the Grand Canyon. So I did the rim to rim in a day.
I want to talk to you about that.
Before it all went to shit with that Dragon Bravo fire that burned down the Grand Canyon Lodge, and it's still burning right now. So I was.
Is it really? That fire's still going?
Yeah. And I was one of the last people to stay at that lodge before it burned down. Yeah, that iconic lodge that was built in the 1930s, and there's just some epic stories about how that lodge was built too. But it's actually the second lodge. The first lodge burned down as well. So, they'll rebuild. But
it's kind of the cycle, man. I think that's what, as humans, we forget what the cycles are a lot of times when it comes to hunting and nature. And, it's kind of the cycle, unfortunately. So
getting ready for that hike, I had Brandon Young in my ears, and then I just went down the rabbit hole as well. Nice. A lot of the guests that you had on, Chris Camozzi, his brother, was it Brian Camozzi?
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Brian. Imagine you get pulled over and Brian Camozzi, so the Deborah copy, you start resisting Brian Camozzi. Like,
such a good dude. I got to have him back on soon too. It's I'm so lucky here, man. Like, one of my goals here at the podcast is to have people that sit across from me that inspire me in some sort of way, right? Like, if not, I don't know that I could be into the conversation. It's got to be somebody that's more savage than I am, right? That's kind of like the first checkbox. Second checkbox, are you a good person? And third, are you cool to hang out with, right? So it's
hopefully I check the second and third. I mean,
we'll see at the end of this, bro.
We'll see.
No, you're cool. You and I have been going back and forth for a couple months. I'm sorry it took you so long to get in here. But yeah, to bring it back to your original question about the song, which is super cool. When we first started the podcast, I bought the rights to some music because I was like, I got to have some music at the intro, right? Like, and this podcast was kind of built off of some mentorship from other podcasts, like Joe Rogan being one of them. Still use his model today. Shout out. He's been an unbelievable support to me for me being a nobody, right? And just, it's very cool. It's a very cool community. But anyways, long story short, so I picked this song, and it was very, like, if you go back and listen to, like, it's within the first 100, I think the 100th episode is when I changed it, right? me with my music background, I grew up listening to like thrash metal and just being a metalhead and all that sort of stuff. And this song was more of kind of like a sports center song. And originally when I was going to start this podcast, it was going to be a totally different thing. It wasn't really going to be built on like human connection and I guess like telling people stories. It was more like outdoor awareness. And I found more joy in having the human connections. And it really made me realize like the amount of time that you get to spend talking to somebody one-on-one, you don't get it anywhere else. Not even at a bar. Like you don't have the same experience as you do in here.
Yeah,
right?
It's nice to be sitting across from somebody, phones are away, just making that connection, talk some shit. Let's talk some good stories.
Yeah, man.
But the stories that, like, one of the quotes that Brandon said that got me all fired up was, he's like, you don't need to know why you need to be a ranger. You need to know that you have to be a ranger. And I am 47 years old. I am not going to go in the Army. I'm not getting ready to go Rangers, but it got me so fired up to get ready for the Grand Canyon. So it was like in my head, I'm like, I don't need to know why I have to hike the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
I just need to know that I have to hike the Grand Canyon.
And that's like most of the guests that I have in is like, they're just fucking badass people, man. It's awesome. And it's almost it's much more than a podcast now. It's kind of a community because like you're sitting here because you knew Brandon, right? And it's like, you and I probably would have never crossed paths, right? But the guy, so when I bought the original song, one of my really good friends that I still work with on and off to this day is an incredible musician and lighting designer from the touring industry, like rock and roll touring industry. And I hit him up and I was like, hey, I'm coming up on the 100th episode and I got to change this song. It's starting to drive me fucking nuts. So like, I want something that's going to last forever. Will you please take the original song, but let's metal it up. Yeah. Let's throw some like heavier guitar licks in it. So it's actually like a 6-minute song that he created for me. His name is Justin T. Freeman. You should go and listen to some of his episodes, dude. He fucking amazing dude. He's probably the closest artist that I've found to like what Tool can create, but he's a one-man. Well, that's not true. He kind of hires it out. He's a one-man composer, I guess. So he did
nails type of.
Yeah, he played the drums, he did the guitar licks, he did the bass, everything for the intro
It is
song.
such a badass.
And it's badass. Like 6 minutes. By the end of it, you're like fucking.
I gotta listen to the song now.
Yeah,
I mean the intro gets me all fired up for this, for the Mountainside. But
yeah,
I want to hear the song now.
Yeah. I might have to have you dig through and see. We could play it here. I guess.
It's.
Or I'll send it to you or something. But shout out to Justin T. Freeman. Check out some of his music. Actually, pull up Justin's. Let's figure out what episodes. He's been on twice with me. And it's just, he's a homie. Yeah, incredible dude. But it was really cool. Since the 100th episode, we've been rocking that song. So
you just had a picture of Chris Camozzi on there. I met him. He goes to Catharo Jiu-Jitsu Academy.
Oh, nice.
And he got his black belt there. And he's just such a humble dude. You see this. He's a massive dude, muscular, and just like, I am not fucking with that guy. And he's just such a nice guy, though.
We've become friends on the podcast, too. He's an incredible dude. If you go back to, go to episodes at the top, Derek, and then just maybe scroll down until you find Justin. They kind of turn into, album covers, I guess is what I've modeled them after, punk rock originally. The original ones were black and white.
Scotty
I know he was down in the hundreds someplace. He might have been like a 116 or something like that. But yeah, man, super lucky to have so many friends now and just a community and been able to have some of my badass friends on. So
well, it's good to be here. I want to give you a little gift right here. This is Bear Canyon Coffee. It's my buddy. He has a roaster out in Albuquerque. I met him in a cemetery in Guatemala when I was in the Peace Corps. And
really?
He was like, white guy walking this way, white guy walking that way. And we're like, Peace Corps? And he's like, Peace Corps? Yeah. And ever since then, it's 2002, we've been friends. But he's had a lifelong dream of opening up this roaster. And it's just
roast date 8/2/20.
Yeah.
So recently?
Yeah, like last week.
Wow, dude.
And it's all air roasted. So I guess his method of roasting coffee reduces the acidity.
Bear Canyon Coffee.
Of the coffee, yeah.
Check it. All right.
It's good stuff.
So how do you buy this online, or how do you get it?
So I don't know if he's shipping out of state yet. If you live in New Mexico, he can ship within state, but due to the rules or laws of New Mexico, he might not be shipping out of state yet.
Got you.
So I snuggled that across state border.
I can smell it right now.
It's
That's
so fresh.
awesome, dude. I'm a coffee freak, dude.
Same here.
Yeah.
I'm in healthcare. So like, if you're not drinking in healthcare, like there's something wrong with you. Like that's how you get through your 12-hour, 24, 48-hour shifts is
fuck yeah.
Coffee, lots of coffee. You're about to go to bed. A little bit more coffee.
Yeah. I'll take a day every once in a while and just skip it.
You're a brave man.
I'm not happy.
No.
You know what I
Your
mean?
bowel movements are going to be totally different. You're going to have headaches. Like, nah, it's
dude, thanks for the book too.
Of course.
I can't wait to really dive into this. This world has always been like super fascinating to me, so I can't wait to go down what you've done with your career. But when I was, God, what age are you in kindergarten? 5?
Yeah,
I don't know,
6,
5 or 6, I think. I mean, I've just had kids that were in kindergarten not too long ago. Anyways, long story short, I was very young. Went to school right up the road here, like 2 miles from the podcast studio. And Flight for Life with the orange helicopters landed a helicopter in the school parking lot and let us like come out, and we got to meet the pilots. I don't know if they let us sit in it, but like climb around the helicopter, like check it out, did a whole like seminar on stuff. And that day instantly I was like, I'm going to be a Flight for Life pilot. Like there was this, you're 47?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what's up. So growing up in our era, man, like there wasn't a whole lot of TV programs to watch. And there was one specifically called Rescue 911.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
William Shatner.
I religiously watched that show. And it made me want to be a first responder of some sort, a cop, a pararescue, you know, some sort of first responder, just from watching that show. And I come from a long lineage of firefighters right here in Colorado, and still have family members that are active guys down at like West Metro and stuff like that on some bigger units, right? But anyways, I thought for sure that was my childhood dream. That was going to be the first gig. I was either going to be a pilot or a flight nurse or something along those lines, right? Like a paramedic is what I really wanted to be. And then I was introduced to Metallica in the 3rd grade.
My first concert in Massachusetts where I grew up was Metallica.
Was it?
Yep.
It's amazing how many people's from our era, like Brandon was just on. I don't know if you listened to
his first concert was Metallica as well. You know, and I know you guys were just there. I was checking you out on Instagram. I was like, man, I missed that concert. You know, I missed the Friday night, Sunday night show. Those look great. But yeah, first concert was there. Danzig was the opener. The guy lost his voice. I don't even think he was able to sing Mother, you know, their most popular song. He was just like putting the microphone out to the crowd because he just lost his voice by the second song. But yeah, Danzig opened. I think it was like Suicidal Tendencies, and then the Metallica.
Was that, I'm sorry, you said that was in Boston?
That was in Great Woods.
Were you and Brandon at the same concert?
No, because he grew up in California, so he was.
Oh, he saw it at Shoreline.
Yes, Shoreline.
Okay, we just had somebody in who were talking about Great Woods. I've been to that venue multiple times with different artists. It's a cool spot.
Yeah, so I
had an ex-girlfriend from there.
Yes.
One of those crazy Mansfield girls, right? Because isn't Mansfield like the closest down to there or something?
Mansfield, Foxborough.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't remember where Great Woods is.
Yeah, it's not far from Gillette Stadium, right?
Yeah. So that is near Foxborough. Yep.
Yeah.
So Metallica first concert, amazing concert. And I wish I saw the other one when they're in town. But even being introduced at a young age, I didn't go the rock route. But I also didn't know that I wanted to be a flight nurse when I was growing up. You know?
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be like a Boston Red Sox player, like all the other kids growing up around that town. But it wasn't until when I came back from Peace Corps. I should back up a little bit. So I was in Peace Corps.
Let's go all the way back, man, because this is about getting to know you today. So,
nice. So I grew up in the Massachusetts area, kind of in a broken home. I think a lot of first responders and nurses grow up in that type of environment where you have, one particular, it's either your dad or your mom or both, or you could be a little bit abusive or psychologically abusive. So I grew up in it was at times a rough childhood, and I think that sets you up to become, believe it or not, like a fantastic first responder or nurse, because you're able to empathize way more. You're able to read people's reactions. You're able to see something before it happens. And when I was growing up, I wanted to be useful because I felt very useless in those situations as a child when, there's arguing going on, or if I was getting slapped or being sent down to the basement for several hours at a time. You just feel helpless or useless. So as I was growing up, one of my favorite books is Cider House Rules. And Homer, one of the main protagonist of that book, his whole goal in life was to be useful, and he grows up to be a doctor, and that just kind of resonated with me. The whole fact of the whole idea of being useful in some capacity to be able to help other people. By helping other people, maybe I'm able to help myself. But that idea was buried inside of me for a while. I didn't know that I wanted to go into the medical route for a long time. The opportunity to go to the Peace Corps came up after I graduated from college, and I have a degree in environmental geoscience, so rocks for jocks. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I liked geology, so I was like, all right, I like the environment. Combine those two together, you got environmental geoscience, and that's my degree. It wasn't originally in nursing. And Peace Corps was looking for people with my type of degree to go into a program called like agroforestry, where I actually teach people to incorporate trees into their agriculture so it prevents erosion. That job eventually led to healthcare, believe it or not. So after I got out of the Peace Corps, I was doing healthcare programs in the Peace Corps. And then I got a job for a nonprofit in Guatemala and Honduras. And I was a program director for years. And I was getting pretty big. Like I knew a lot of people in the government. We were making big decisions that would affect the health of thousands of people in Honduras and Guatemala. But I had this moment. I was living at the time, on Roatan Island, the Bay Islands, and I saw this like little baby come out from their hut, walk across the path that I was walking down, and the mother was chasing after it. And the baby had like this distended gut, and the baby didn't look healthy. And here I was, like this director of a nonprofit organization, and if that mother brought that baby to me and said, hey, I need help, despite what I was doing, and I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know how to help that baby. Here I am trying to make decisions for the health of the population, but I can't help the individual. So at that point, I decided I need to come back to the United States, learn some medicine with the goal of then going back down and continuing my journey in public health in Latin America. So first thing I did when I got back to the United States, went and became an EMT-Basic. To talk about like return of investment, as far as if you want to do some crazy shit right away with minimal amount of education, EMT-Basic's the way to go. You learn some medicine, you learn some first aid, and then they're going to put you in an ambulance and get back and get out there. So it was an EMT in the Revere, Chelsea, Somerville area. Revere.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like 2006, 2007, and I don't know what it's like now, but it was pretty seedy back then. You had to have people walking up to the ambulance when you're at the gas station filling up the ambulance, and they got knife wounds. Like, hey, bro, can you take a look at this? Like, man, we're just filling up gas.
Boston
Here we go.
Is a different place, man.
It is.
In the outside areas, too. It's like it's not country, but it's like, it's just the Northeast, man. It's rough.
Yep, especially back, 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000. Now, I don't know, it seems a little bit more posh when I go there, but...
it's totally gentrified now, a lot more. But I guess the earliest that I was over there was like early 2000s.
Yeah, that was my still first visit.
A
gritty area.
There were gritty areas. There were nice areas, but... Yeah, no, it's a wild spot.
So the EMT job, that when I was EMT, I came across, I was at Mass General Hospital, and these flight nurses and flight medics walked in with this pretty banged up patient. And I was like, what is that about? And that just changed my trajectory from I want to go back down to Latin America to do public health to I want to be in the thick and thin of things. I want to be a flight nurse. I want to be in that helicopter, lands on an interstate when somebody's having a bad day, and be that person, because I think that would feed something internally that I was looking for, and that's to be useful.
To bring it back to your childhood, I grew up in a similar situation, not the exact same, right? But a single mom, and unfortunately, some other male influences that were actually living in the household became very abusive. And it wasn't just one, it was like multiple. So I had kind of a crazy thing, and that later in life, I didn't realize it until I had like gone to some therapy and stuff and was court ordered to go to some therapy that I'm naturally became a protector of that. And looking at it from that third lens, I was just going to help somebody. If there was a woman getting beat in a parking lot, I was going to go intervene. And I probably still would today. I would just do it in a different facet than when I was 19. 19 was to return violence. Yeah. And inflict pain, right? Let somebody know what's up. And unfortunately, you can't do that. I'm still not saying it's wrong, but the law doesn't think it's right?
It's not the 80s and 90s anymore.
Yeah, but it really made me, and to this day, like you could do just about anything to me, To me personally, you can call me a piece of shit, you can spit on me, you can punch me. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to retaliate or feel disrespected. But if you did it to somebody that I really care about, I'm going to be irate, like a 10. If you're doing it to me personally, maybe a 5 on the heat scale, right? But like a 10 on the other side of that, maybe an 8 now that I've been through all that therapy and court stuff, right? So that really ingrained in me. So I guess to bring it back to yours, this is more of a question. I had siblings in the house and stuff, so we were kind of like a team, but then that also made me feel like I had to protect them because I was the oldest. I was the man in the house. Did you have any sort of siblings in that situation, and were both parents in the house at that time, or?
Parents divorced officially when I was 18, but my dad was pretty much out the door when I was about 5th or 6th grade. And so my sister, I am the youngest, so I have an older sister and an older brother. My sister was the protector, so she felt obligated to step in and to make sure that I wasn't getting my ass kicked as much as it could happen.
Yeah.
So my sister and I are super tight because of that. But yeah, there's some stories in there of she was telling a story. She goes into McDonald's and just to get some food for us, and I was crying in the back seat, and she witnessed my mom just slapping me over and over again in the back seat. And so my sister had turned around and came out of McDonald's without any food. And so then my mom started to get all pissed off at her because, like, why didn't you bring in the food? But she was trying to protect me from getting slapped again. And so there was, stories like that. So yeah, my sister was shout out to Taz, a huge protector.
Do you remember that all, or were you so young you don't remember?
There's certain times that I remember being, slapped and pinched, and I remember getting body slams once. I definitely remember getting sent down to this like colonial style, dark, damp basement for several hours at a time if I would act up, and like the psychological abuse that comes with that.
And I don't want to, just a caveat, I don't want to pry too much. Like if you don't want to answer anything, you don't have to. Just tell me you don't want to fucking talk about it.
That's all good. I am not. Okay. I'm not shy in talking about it or saying, hey, that's too much.
Well, I think one thing that, it's not easy stuff to talk about, and it's not, especially for me, man, because I kind of keep everything like in the shell. But what I found with this is like, honesty resonates really well on the podcast, and it's hard to like beat around the bush without just telling your story. But more importantly, the amount of emails and messages, whether they're DMs or people, there's a submission where you can submit an email and they're like, yo, I listened to this episode and you talking about this, it helps so many people to hear that.
Totally. Because I wanted, when we go further in my career, it wasn't until recently that I addressed that childhood trauma. And you can harbor that shit for decades, which is what I did. So, that was a motivating force. Again, going back to that whole being useful thing that drove me to medicine. There's safety in servitude. If you're helping somebody else out, you don't think about your own shit. So, and it's not until you step away from helping others that maybe some of those other things start coming back. So for a long time, those experiences were in the back of my head, but I just pushed them away because I was constantly trying to get into school, and then I was graduating from school, and I'm trying to get in the Peace Corps, and now I'm trying to become an EMT, and now I'm trying to get into nursing school, and I'm trying to be a nurse, and I'm trying to be in the ICU, and I'm trying to be a flight nurse, and it's just constant moving forward, not thinking back your past. But when you step away from the bedside, or in my case, when I stepped away from the helicopter, that's when all the other shit came forward, and that wasn't until just a few years ago. So yeah, I do remember some of those things. My sister, she kind of told me some of the other shit that happens. And I know at one point, both my brother and my sister, I believe, were even like suicidal. Like things were just so bad in that house during a certain time. So they moved off. And when they moved off, ironically, it got a little bit better in my house. I think my mom harbored a lot of feelings against my sister and my brother. And so when they moved away, even though I was now like, I guess if you want to say primary target, but it wasn't as bad, which is the irony of it. But my eyes were pretty much wide awake, at the age of 14, 15, very pissed off. And also now no longer having that safety net of my sister and my brother, they felt that lost in a sense because they were like, dude, I'm out of here. They moved to other states. So, they come back in the summertime and visit, but that hurt too as well.
So common. It's so common. Like, I think that's something that people don't realize when they're in that situation is like, oh, this must only happen to me. I must be the only one getting dealt the bad card. A lot of the people, like you said that there's so many first responders. This is a commonality between special operations, pro athletes. Like we've had, guys like Derek Wolfen grew up in like similar situation, right? A lot of the SEALs that I know, Brandon, with his whole story with his father, it's like you start looking at it and it's fascinating. And then some stuff that we do, one of the nonprofits that I help out here with the podcast is War Party Movement and War Party Ranch, and just two amazing nonprofits.
Jeremiah, right?
Jeremiah Wilbur, yeah. Amazing dude, former Green Beret. But I didn't realize how prevalent it was until I started working with them. And you start looking at some of the statistics on abuse on kids, domestic violence. It's fucking frightening. It's 1 in 3. So, there's 3 of us here in the room. You and I know personally have experienced domestic violence in our lifetime, right? I don't know. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Derek just raised his hand. So, was that in your household? Do you mind if I ask her? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, in our homes where we're living. How you were a child, I was a child. How old were you? Child. Okay. Yeah. So there you go, dude. Like kids are dealing with this on a daily fucking basis. And the people that inflict it are very smart about it, right? They get this like groomer mentality. Is what they call it. And it's, they act a lot of times, they act differently in public. So like, say you're at the grocery store and you're at the checkout stand. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Oh, nice to meet you. How's your day? So they almost like counterbalance like this Jekyll and Hyde type mentality. These abusers do. And they're mostly sought out in their communities, especially if you grow up in a small town, which I was living in a small town at the time. And this is all firsthand experience. Everybody in the community goes, man, that guy is so nice. Or that lady is unbelievably nice. Or she complimented me on my hair. But then the moment that the door closes or you get in the car or something like that, like this other person comes out. This violence comes out. And it's almost even worse because it's like, in my experience, it was harbored, right? And now it's behind closed doors and nobody can see what's going on. And then, a kid shows up to school with a black eye or something. That's why I'm not very big on schools having control over certain things. But I think in today's society, medical providers and schools probably see your kids on a more intimate, more regular basis in different scenarios than even some of their own parents do, right? So like if you notice bruises on a kid's arm, or I think it's okay to ask those questions.
Are you supposed to? I
Yeah.
mean, if as a medical provider, as a
Right.
nurse, if I see that, I don't work with kids, but if I see that there's elderly abuse as well. So if I see that, that's mandatory
man.
reporting.
Dude, that's fucking frightening, man.
And there's different forms of it too.
Right.
And it's not just physical. There's financial abuse, there's psychological abuse.
Oh, just verbal abuse, right? Like, yeah.
So if you see that, and if a teacher sees that, if a healthcare provider sees that, our job is to report that. Now, what happens from there, I don't know. I've been in a few situations as a first responder when I go to domestic disputes or domestic violence calls.
Some of it's in this book.
There's a few.
Pretty wild one, actually. I was like, holy shit, this is the opener?
And that, it's a medical thriller book. It's fictional, but there's stuff there that's very visceral. I'll say
we're going to dive into this a little bit because I got some questions on it. But yeah, to bring it back to the childhood situation. So luckily my mom was like my anchor. She was my stronghold. She was the adult in the house, and she never laid a hand on us. Even though we were maybe put in some of those positions because we couldn't get rid of somebody else that was in the house, and she did try, and she tried different methods, but she's a single mom trying to raise 3 kids and then 4 kids, right? So it's a rough world when you're a single parent. Me having 3 kids and 2 incomes, it's insane how much they cost. So I can't even imagine what my mom went through. And I'll tell you what we went through. I mean, we were fucking poor as shit, dude. I remember we would go to like these government, I forget what it was. I think it was called WIC or something.
Mm-hmm.
And literally all they would give you was like a block of cheese. It was like a center block of like cheddar cheese or something. And it wasn't even like real cheese that you go and buy. Like, it was like some bullshit, right? And then I think they would give us like a couple gallons of milk or something like that, if I remember correctly. And that was like the substitute for protein, right? So I can't imagine what that's like for a parent being that. And I'm so lucky that I had like her parents and her brothers were really, really good, like male influences in my life. But I can't imagine going through what you did with did you have any positive influences in the household other than your siblings that were like adults, like men or?
I mean, there's good days too.
Right.
My mom wasn't all bad, and there's good days that she had, and my dad was in and out. He did move across town, so I would see him periodically. I mean, that was a guy that showed up for every soccer, baseball, basketball game, and maybe that's why I excelled at sports at that young age, is because I wanted to impress him, and that was a way of bonding with him. But for sure, sports, and that's another common factor with people that are similar situations is, your coaches, your teammates, your friends, and you kind of grow up on the soccer field or football field, basketball court, whatever. So that's, I kept busy.
Anything to keep you out of home.
Yeah.
And you know how to take some abuse. I mean, it's not funny, but like you do, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I was like,
an adult beat me? Fuck. I'm going to smash this other kid, right?
And then you had a shitty night at home where, you go on the field and you're like, I'm going to settle some scores out here.
Yeah.
So my dad and my mom, they're still in my life. It wasn't something though I didn't address until later in life.
Was your dad abusive?
No, he was just sometimes absent.
Mm-hmm.
So and he would, when he left the house, he would come over as much as he could. But I think my mom too would use that card of like, well, now it's not the time to come over, or. But he would be there and we watched a lot of Bruins growing up, watched a lot of sports growing up, and that's how we bonded. It was 3 sports. So the teams that I was playing with, and also just professional sports in the 80s and 90s in Boston. That's some pretty good teams. Yeah. Larry Bird and Ray Bork. And that's why I became a Colorado fan, was when Ray Bork came over here.
Yeah.
We all were rooting for him.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, man. The Boston, I have a ton of friends from the greater Boston area and sports fanatics, man. And it's like, our Colorado teams don't even hold a candle to them in like history, right? And that's how it's looked at, right?
But enthusiasm, especially with the Broncos, I would say that.
Broncos are,
there.
It's different. The other teams, like, I don't feel like the Avalanche kind of have it. No. Rockies, not really at all. No. The Nuggets, maybe now, but man, watching the Nuggets as a kid was fucking
terrible,
heartbreaking. Dude. Yeah.
But now it's like, I can't wait for the season they're about to have.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be great. Broncos too. And so, just being in the city that I'm living in right now, I'm going to be a fan of that city. I love Denver sports, but growing up with those teams, those iconic teams.
Yeah.
Before the Patriots were good, before we had Tom Brady and we could shit all over
Belichick and that whole thing.
They had some rough years there too. I remember some of the games were even on TV because they suck so bad.
Yeah.
But so that was, sports got me through those difficult times. And then I think in my 20s and 30s and part of my 40s, I just started going down that path of service, of helping others, learning how to help others, becoming the best flight nurse or ICU nurse I could be. Again, there's safety and servitude. So I just blacked out all that stuff that happens in that childhood. And again, it wasn't until, a few years ago that started bubbling up like, wait, that fucking happens. That was some fucked up shit. Right. And you start addressing that. And then you go through like the stages of grief for yourself. You're like, shit, I was a victim. I remember crying in the backyard when I like said that out loud. I was like, man, I was a little abused kid. I was a victim. And
did that continue? Like once you start playing sports and as a young man, when, about 14, you start getting testosterone, you can fight back. Right. Like, what was there? Did it get better the older that you got because you could protect yourself more? Or?
It wasn't physical. Yeah. At that point, it became more perhaps maybe psychological.
Gotcha.
So, and you don't know it's psychological at such a young age.
Uh-huh.
But at least the physical was gone.
Right.
At least you're not dealing with hand slaps anymore. You're just dealing with the other stuff. But, going back to that, realizing that, okay, you're a victim, you went through something, and then you just start like, well, who am I then? I never would look at myself as, being somebody like that.
Right.
Or you. I mean, you're a big dude. I know you got a background in football and you do some jiu-jitsu, but then when you look at it, I wouldn't want to see you on the mats.
But so soft, dude.
But
I have real savages in here, so like I always feel like the softest guy. I think I could protect myself I don't know. You never know who you're going to run into, right? Like avoiding confrontation altogether is the absolute best
goal.
Thing.
Yes.
Right. But yeah, the reasons why I stay in shape now or try to the best that I can is like, and you can attest to this being a first responder. And I think people do it in different ways. And I think that there's this misnomer now where it's like, to protect myself, I got to carry my handgun everywhere. And I'm not anti-gun. I'm very pro-gun, dude. Like if you saw my gun safe, you'd be probably shocked at what's in there. And
got a gun falling out of your Cheerios.
Right.
When you
I'm pretty sure there's one in my glove box right now that's locked. I know there's one in my glove box. So it's not like I'm all about that. But I think one thing that I always try to preach here, and I don't preach anything, so that was really bad. Forget I even said that. One thing that I'm an advocate for is knowing how to be your own first responder, right? Yeah. And I'm super big on that. Like, go start with CPR. At least know how to do that. Start with stop the bleed, right? Is probably your next best thing. How to clear an airway, having some of these medical tools readily available, because even though first responders are coming, the national average, in that first 5 minutes, it's up to you, right? So I'm really, really big on that. But then also, I think another thing that I haven't really ever touched on is there's a physical fitness side to it. There's a reason why when firefighters show up, they look like brick shit houses. And, all the stuff that they're doing at the firehouse when they're not on calls, right? And the PT and all that sort of stuff. So I guess that's kind of why I stay in shape. It's like, what if you need to pull yourself out of a burning car and you can't do a pull-up?
Yep.
Sack of shit, you're going to die.
Yeah, you need to hop over a wall because you need to get the fuck out.
As much as planes crash these days, and I hate talking about this, I still fly around the country a lot, Thank God I'm not going transatlantic, but like, what if you're in that situation,
And we went out to hurt.
What if it's your kid you got to save?
They all haul him out.
Dude, I just had, crazy, 3rd or 4th of July, somebody I know they were hanging out on a river. His 2 nephews got swept away. He went in after him, saved him, but he ended up drowning.
Oh my God, man.
So it's like, if you're not in the best shape that you can be in, that could be you or me or whoever, right? It's like, I guess that's why I still try to stay in decent shape and to chase elk. But
at our age, it is an obligation to be in shape for your family, for yourself. I mean, it's non-negotiable. As a nurse, as a former first responder, still now, I have to move patients once in a while. And the nursing community, it's unfortunate. You see a lot of nurses that are out of shape. You see some nurses that are in phenomenal shape as well too. But we in the hospital, you have deconditioned people. They come in already deconditioned. They become more deconditioned. After being in a hospital bed for more than 48 hours, you start to lose 2 to 5% of your body mass, your muscle mass every day. So by the end of the week, you could potentially have lost 20% of your muscle mass if you're bed bound. And so you have a deconditioned person already sick in a hospital bed. It's becoming more deconditioned. And if you're the deconditioned person that needs to move the deconditioned patient, then it's a recipe for disaster. I mean, so many nurses have back injuries, shoulder, knee injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I read a statistics once when I was living in Albuquerque, working at UNMH, that working in the ICU in Albuquerque, I had a greater chance of getting hurt on the job than working in a coal mine.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Just from moving, man.
But
if you've ever tried to do like an actual fireman's carry or like anything like that, like it's fucking hard, man. You think carrying an elk quarter is hard? Add another 100 pounds to that. You know what I mean? What if it's a 180-pound dude?
I had a guy that was like 225, and he was in jail, so he had a security, or he had a cop at his bedside. So he was awaiting trial for something, and he was in the ICU, and the curtain was closed. And that was what the bathroom was. His bathroom was in the room, and you close the curtain. The security guard was on the other side. This dude took out black tar heroin out of his ass, shot himself up with it. So he's overdosed on the toilet. And the security guard finally noticed that he was overdosed. So he's like, nurse, and we come running in. Now we have this overdosed patient, it's about 225. We got to haul him out of the toilet, put him on the bed, and then resuscitate him. So it was myself and another nurse, and luckily we were strong enough and good enough shape. And of course, adrenaline's pumping then that we were able to pick him up.
But that's when you get injured, when that adrenaline's going, right?
Totally. A lot of times, though, my heaviest patient was 660 pounds.
It's so crazy. I was just thinking about that. Because of the obesity epidemic, is that what they're calling it these days now for overweight people? I guess I'd probably fit in the overweight category, not obese, but what is it like working? Have you seen that grow in your time and being a nurse, like progressively get worse, or notice that people are getting bigger? And
I've been in healthcare for 24 years, and it feels like that for sure. Over the last 10, 15 years, and not just older patients, but the younger generation, the teenagers, the young adults.
I see so many kids that are like overweight, like young kids.
It's cheap calories, going to McDonald's, Burger King, cheap calories.
All the bullshit preservatives they put in our food. 2 years ago, I was 320, Yeah, probably 320 at my heaviest, dude. That's fucking... And I wasn't eating like bad. I was still like pretty active, decent amount of muscle mass, but I was fat. And I could still lose some fat today, but I was just kind of eating like a normal family man dad would do, like occasional beer here or there. Fucking, you're at a birthday party every, 6 weeks if you got kids, because their friend has a birthday or their classmate, and then they get invited, and it's like now you're having sugar on a more regular basis. So just like living normal life in those scenarios
catches up. Those
little calories catch up. But like me strictly cutting out preservatives and just eating like pretty much whole foods, like meat, vegetables, starches, like potatoes and that sort of stuff, not like pasta, anything that's processed. I dropped 75 pounds.
Damn.
I had to.
Just through diet alone?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No fucking Ozempic, none of this other bullshit. Like, just fucking no peptides, just diet and exercise. And the exercise wasn't hard for me because I was an active guy already.
Yeah, you're already elk hunting.
Yeah,
shooting
but
bow.
boy, did it level up my fitness, because you shed 70 pounds. You're not carrying 70 pounds around anymore, right? Like, you can do more push-ups, you can do more pull-ups and sort of stuff.
I make the argument that you can work out way less, but if your nutrition is on point,
it's everything.
then it's
everything. And inflammation. That's the biggest thing I've noticed. Like, I used to
how your joints feel.
Yeah. God, if I eat like a couple slices of pizza now, just on a celebration, whatever, it's almost like I drank a bottle of whiskey, dude. Like, I wake up with the aches. It's so bad. It wrecks me so bad.
So worth it. If you're talking pizza.
Oh my God. But it's got to be good. Like New York style, like East Coast. Yeah.
If you're in Englewood, you got to check out Gallo.
Okay.
And that is the best pizza I've had, man.
Nice.
Especially in Colorado, but it is on par with North End in Boston.
Really?
Yeah. It's this dude that he moved over from, I think it was Sicily with his wife. And so they're in the back cooking up a storm, and then there's an Italian bakery in the front, and we go there all the time. That food is so good,
dude. I'm 60% Italian, and it's in the blood, dude. I could eat pizza for every fucking meal.
I mean, it is a food group, but if you do that every day,
I'd be fucking 600. I'd be that 600-pound dude in the hospital probably by now. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Cannolis and pizza.
Cannolis. Love cannolis.
And some pretzels too.
So I guess transitioning, like getting out of that household and the situation that you were in, I guess in high school and that sort of stuff, did you know that you wanted to be a first responder or go into the medical field?
I was thinking more military at that point when I was like 18. And I think if I had somebody in my life that had been in the military, I probably would have gone that route. But my family, you're either a nurse or you're a CPA. So
really,
mom, sister, aunt, grandma, all nurses. And then on the other side, it's dad CPA, brother's CPA. Actually, for rock bands, I bet you guys have worked in some capacity.
Yeah. Hopefully it likes me. I was always a guy collecting monies. Well, early on in my career, and then I moved on to the production side where I didn't have to deal with any money or very many attitudes, some attitudes. But
I'd be curious to see if I text my brother later.
Yeah.
And then my grandpa, he was in the FBI, but he was an accountant before that. So he was, I guess he was searching for spy Nazis in the United States during World War II.
Really?
That's what I heard, yeah. I saw this one picture of him holding up like a little Tommy gun, old school.
Damn, what year was that?
It was like 42, 43.
Holy shit.
Is
he still alive?
No. I was really young when he died.
Did he tell you a bunch of stories and stuff?
It's one of those things like
Fuck, man. I wish.
I lost that.
Yeah.
That unfortunately I lost.
Dude, that's so fascinating, man. Like, I don't think people realize how embedded they were here. Like, it was a thing.
Yeah.
And I've realized it touring. Have you spent any time in Milwaukee?
No.
Okay.
No, never.
So
been to the airport, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, it's not. No offense to anybody if you're listening to this now and you live in Milwaukee. It's a cool spot, but It's not my favorite spot. And the reason why, never really thought about arson in my life, but there's one spot that I would probably burn down if I had the choice or was thinking about arson, and it's this place called the Eagles Ballroom. And it's a live music venue now. Pull this up, Derek, on let's give some photos, and they're probably going to hate me for this. I might not be invited back there. I think I've been kicked out of there before anyways, but it's this really, really just weird building, right? And I'd been there several times before I figured this out. The sound is horrible. Like, look at that. That's a beautiful structure.
Yeah, it looks cool.
But from a sound standpoint, it is god awful, man, because everything just echoes in that little like chamber.
Yeah, it looks like a UFO landing into the venue.
So this was built, I want to say in the 30s, I think. It's a super old building. And I think it was originally built to be an auditorium. And the reason why they built that ceiling like that is so it would echo, because they didn't have microphones and speakers and that sort of shit weren't like readily available, right? The architecture's pretty cool, but it's very weird. From a production standpoint, if you're going there with a band, it's the worst fucking place in the world. That particular, the first photo that you showed of the main room. So there's like 3 different music venues in it, if I remember correct. And I've only been in the main room. This maybe holds 2,000 people or something like that. Maybe more with those balconies. But anyways, every piece of equipment has to go up an elevator that's probably smaller than the footprint of this table.
Oh, man.
Or carried up the stairs. And shout out to the stagehands that work there. There's guys that work there on a daily basis and bring every piece of gear, like every moving light, every cable. Some of the cables, like the feeder cables, it's this 4/0, and it's just a solid piece of copper. And if you have 100-foot, just one single leg of it, and there's 5 legs to get 3-phase power, probably 150 pounds. Go back to that photo. I can't believe they actually have a photo of this. So see all the graffiti on the walls and shit down there? This is like a private part of the venue. And this is in the basement. This is the first Olympic-sized swimming pool, and this is what I was told, in the United States ever, was built right here.
At the bottom of this random ass
But
conservation.
the actual history of this, when you get down in this basement, there's swastikas everywhere. This was a Nazi-built building and a headquarters for them to be embedded into the U.S. before Hitler started his, like, Nazism was accepted here, right, by some Americans. It's a wild, wild story. So this was like the men's club for, it was like a country club for Nazis or something.
And they had to have their swimming pool.
And the building just has this, like, just this eerie fucking feeling when you're in it. The Eagles Club. Yeah. It might not be the Eagles Ballroom.
One of my grandpa was ever, like, scouting out that area.
It's so weird, man. Yeah. They should really burn this place to the ground. And I don't feel that way about most places. I mean, I've been to some shitty spots, but it's just a weird, weird building. Yeah. I don't know how we got down this rabbit hole, but
I think we were talking
about your
grandpa
uncle, or your grandpa.
And going after.
So I just wonder if he was in here, like busting these dudes or something, you know,
checking out the pool downstairs.
Yeah.
So there was like that 2 paths I could have gone down, and but neither of them at the time when I was growing up was I interested in. And like I said, if I had somebody who was probably had a military background, I might have gone that route. But when I went to college, I was just interested in the environment. I was interested in rocks, which is kind of dorky, but so I got this degree I did absolutely nothing with, and then went to the Peace Corps from there. And then all these just medical experiences started popping up in the Peace Corps. During 9/11, I was in a hospital bed in Guatemala. The day before, I had appendicitis. So, I mean, it's a crazy story.
What was it like? What was that like being out of country?
there's a joke that Peace Corps is the toughest job you ever love. We always said it was the longest vacation you'll ever hate. I mean, there's three things in the Peace Corps. You're horny, hungry, and homesick the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got all these 20-year-olds just living out in the boondocks, some rural village in Guatemala, or sometimes they're in the city as well, depending. And you're just trying to do what you're trained to do down there. So I was trained to try to incorporate trees into the agriculture down there. I grew up in the outside of Boston.
How did you find the Peace Corps and know that that's what you wanted to go do? Was it because at 18, for me, the reason why I really sought out touring with rock bands was like, oh, that's pretty fucking rock and roll. It was rock and roll. But it was mainly to travel. I wanted to see the world.
Junior year in college, I had an opportunity to study abroad in Ecuador. So one weekend, we went down to this little beach house that the program director owns. And if you had given me a map of Ecuador, I wouldn't know where the fuck I was. And so we thought we were pretty badasses, just like hanging out on the beach. There is no other Americans nearby. We're with the locals, and we felt pretty amazing. Just again, not knowing where we were. So it's starting to get dark out, and there was three of us. We're hanging out, having a beer, and all of a sudden this guy just comes out of nowhere, just walking down the beach with this backpack on, and we're like, "What the fuck?" And he comes right up to this bar we're hanging out. And he starts speaking, and he's a white dude, and he starts speaking to us in Spanish. And you do have white Ecuadorians down there. You know, you have the influence of Spain. So I was like, all right, well, and his accent sounded pretty good. And, maybe he just has that complexion. And he was visiting his girlfriend, who was in that town that we were in. And then we asked him, like, where are you from? ¿De dónde eres? And he's like, soy de Chicago. I'm like, wait, you're from Chicago? What the? So you're American? He's like, yeah, I'm American. And he breaks out in English. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm in Peace Corps. And that just kind of blew our minds away. Like, whoa, you live around here? He's like, yeah, I live a few villages down. You have a girlfriend? Yeah. I'm going to see her right now. And he started telling me like what he does. And it just blew our minds away. So I think that planted its seed. It's like, oh, there's something else out there. There's been only 245,000 volunteers since Peace Corps initiated in 1962. So
really, that's it.
That's it. It's not a lot of us out there.
Wow.
So also to be part of that elite community, and there's also that sense of like, there's ways to serve our country. You could be a teacher, police, firefighter,
absolutely,
military as well, and this is just another way.
It's another line of service.
Yeah. I thank God for our military brothers and sisters. When we need a hammer, we got them. We need a fist, they're amazing. But there's also that other side of...
Well, even first responders, man. It's the same sort of thing, man. Yeah. And I think one thing that people don't realize is first responders don't ever really... A lot of times they work in the communities that they live in. So that, they don't ever get to leave deployment, right? Yep. They don't ever get to... Sometimes it doesn't turn off, especially if you're in law enforcement.
Well, right? You go by a corner, that corner has a history.
Yeah.
If I go by Revere, I'll see some corners, of course, or gas stations. They'll bring back some memories. If you're a nurse in the hospital, same thing. You go by a room, you're like, somebody died in this room. A lot of people died in this room. Last week we did CPR on this patient. So it's the same thing. Some of the first responders or cops that I know, it's like that's why they don't work in the community. They'll work in, 2 towns down. So at least on their days off, they don't have to see those reminders, those landmarks.
Yeah.
I worked with a guy, amazing dude. And as we're driving around Denver, he started pointing out places where my wife and I go for a drink or a restaurant. He's like, well, over there. And then you're like, wow, that happened there. He's like, yeah, there was a knife fight right in there. I remember responding to that.
Well, I can only imagine, man. I vividly remember, traumatizing stuff sticks with you, whether it's abuse as a child. Those memories are burned into my mind. They'll never leave, I don't think. Where you were at on 9/11. Mandalay Bay is another spot for me that I still frequent. I I purposely don't stay at that hotel. I'll go stay at the shitty ass Luxor down the street just so I don't have to stay at that hotel. But then it's really odd with like the music venue just abandoned over there. Like I know a bunch of people that were shot there. I didn't know anybody that actually died there, but just like, you know what I mean? Like there's certain things that are just burnt in. But if that's happening to you on a daily
death by
basis, man, it is just the backlog. I don't know if you become numb to it or if there's probably certain things, right?
That's where you hope you have really good coping mechanisms. So when you experience tragedy as a first responder or nurse, and you see a child die, and
but I'm sure you're seeing a lot of that in the Peace Corps too, right?
Peace Corps was the first time where you open up your eyes to like, holy shit, it's a different world out there.
Yeah, we're so lucky here, right?
And Brandon was talking about this too, you know, skip ahead a little bit, but like coming back to this country was actually harder than going down because you see all this fucked up stuff down there. And then you come back here. And I remember just going into a supermarket in the cereal aisle and just staring at the 50 different brands of cereal there. And down there, you would have like one. Or the milk aisle, all the different milks. Down there, we had powdered milk. I remember curbs, like, you know, streets have, you know, you're passing and then you have curbs on that. And like, that freaking me out. Like, wow, our country's so amazing. We actually have street curbs here.
Yeah, to keep cars from going into the fucking sidewalk, right?
But like that I was like, wow, the engineering
So
behind
crazy.
that, the time that we take to put down just something simple like street curbs.
Yeah.
So yeah, down there was when you first dead body I would see there, lying on the road. I saw a few of those, just like it was.
Well, and the other thing too, and I was doing it in the lab of luxury, but I purposely, once I got bored of hanging out at bars and chasing women in the touring industry, I started like, okay, I'm actually going to go experience culture, right? Like I'm going to go outside of the city and get into where the actual people are at, like my people, I guess. And the shit that you see there, and then you come back and people are complaining about fucking, who knows, dude? Like maybe the barista didn't fucking put their sandwich in the toaster oven long enough and it's cold in the center. Or like, it's just like, it's mind blowing, right?
This is a soy latte, right?
Yeah. With almond milk, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the shit that we complain about here and just, and again, we live in an amazing country and one way to serve it is through here. There was this guy that, I'm going to fuck up his last name, but it's like David Schopler. He was in Peace Corps and then became a Navy SEAL, which is a really interesting path that you went that route and there. And there's been a few incidences of, I think, a few Marines out there too that, and I don't know if they went the Marine route, then the Peace Corps route, or Peace Corps the Marine route. But this guy, he wrote a great article a few years ago about his two services, being in the Navy SEALs and in the Peace Corps. And something that he wrote like was profound. He's like, they both actually want peace. Just the methods of achieving peace is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, destroy thy enemies versus Peace Corps. It's like, we're going to make friends with people so they don't become our enemies. And I think both are extremely important.
No, they really are. And I mean, you're seeing kind of the worst that the world has to offer in both of those jobs, man. Not has to offer, but you're seeing humanity in some of its worst situations.
I would argue that, and you see that here too. Being a nurse, first responder, you absolutely see that. And that people are actually, when I was in Guatemala, some of the happiest people I ever met were down there.
Yeah.
And living in no running water.
Because of perspective. That's what I found too, right?
I think gratitude. I just think they live every day with a sense of gratitude that we don't have.
Yeah.
And that's the secret of happiness is gratitude.
Fuck yeah.
Something bad's going on in your life. If you can zoom out and have a macro level and look at what's good around you, then that bad's not going to seem as bad. And I think that's one of the things you can do as a nurse or first responder. You're going to see some shitty shit.
Yeah.
So seeing that horrible fucked up shit, you have appreciation for what is good. You just need to be able to, those visuals or those auditory experiences that you just have to be able to somehow make sure it doesn't become a nightmare. And that's the hard part.
Right.
And that's where your coping mechanisms come in. That's where going to therapy helps. In my situation, what really helped me was ketamine. So I did a 3-week ketamine experience, if you will, where I went twice a week for 3 weeks. And then once a week, I would sit down with a counselor to talk about my experiences with ketamine. And with ketamine, I mean, I don't know if you've done psychedelics.
Yeah. Can we dive into this a little bit? It's just something that's fascinating to me. And I know a ton of people that have been down the ayahuasca journeys and psilocybin and, all that sort of stuff. But I've never talked to anybody that's been on the ketamine journeys.
So I've had one psychedelic experience before ketamine. It was peyote in the middle of a Mexican desert with people that I didn't know.
What was that like?
Incredible, amazing, scary, all of it. I was out in Real de Catorce, Mexico.
Did you see animals?
I saw a piece of trash that became a bouncing Mario Brothers. That like like the bouncing mushroom of the Mario Bros. Like if I squished it, I would have gotten 200 points.
Nice.
Like so I was definitely tripping, but I did it for, I'd say the wrong reason at the time.
Recreational, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
I was at the time I was thinking of writing a book about this like coming to age, and one of the characters was going to do psychedelics, and they have this realization through psychedelics about their life. So I was doing a little bit of, character research, if you will.
It's very unique that you had a peyote experience. I had one, and it actually turned me off to psychedelics.
Yeah.
It was that bad. I was terrified for fucking 3 days, dude. Like, literally terrified.
Wind still doesn't sound the same to me, because
Really?
even years later, because I remember hearing just winds sounding so different like octaves of winds.
It opens your mind to sound. I think that's why you look at bands like the Grateful Dead. Their success is really built. They're incredible musicians. I'm not discounting any of that. But the psychedelic experience
sounds a lot fucking better when you're on.
Yeah. Right? It's a totally different experience.
So in the middle of the Mexican desert, it's hot.
Yeah.
It gets cold at nighttime, and peyote curbed all that. I didn't have a lot of food. At that point, I've never even slept outside before. So my first camping experience was
on peyote.
It's on peyote with people I don't know in the middle of the Mexican desert.
Holy shit.
And like I wasn't thirsty, I wasn't hungry. We stayed up all night, and it was like walking into an airport. You're in DIA, you're walking down the aisle, and you have all these exits that you can go into. That one's going out to Dallas. That flight goes to New York. That flight goes to Vancouver. So you come back into the main terminal, and then you take a little journey off to Vancouver, and you come right back, and you're back in the main terminal. And so that's what peyote was like for me. It was just, I didn't write down any of my experiences, but I remember that I would go off on these little trips, come back to what I thought was real life, and then I keep going. And it did that for like 12 hours. It's all overnight.
Wow.
Started I think like 5 p.m. and it wasn't until like 5 a.m. the next day. So years later, excuse me, decades later, about 3 years ago, I should back up a little bit. So I was on Ambien for about 12 years. Ambien, if you're having trouble sleeping, doctor prescribes Ambien.
Very, very familiar with that too. It's funny. You and I have done.
We got a lot of similarities, buddy.
We have some similarities when it comes to narcotics.
Ambien should not be prescribed for that long. Ambien is a short-term drug. For example, if you have eye surgery and you need to keep your eyes closed and we need to knock you out, that's a good reason to take Ambien. When I started nursing, I couldn't sleep at night. I was so anxious about the shift the next day. Am I going to fuck up? Am I going to miss? Am I going to miss something?
So just thinking ahead, not what had happened in the past.
No, just thinking ahead about the day. I'd be so anxious. My doctor was like, "Yeah, I got a drug for you. Try trazodone." I tried trazodone once. I got an erection for more than 4 hours, so I never went back to that. And that's a side effect of trazodone, where you just like rock hard for like several hours. Yeah.
Do they prescribe that for ED and stuff?
No.
Okay, it's a sleep medication.
It's a side effect of trazodone. It's not something that you would take for that. And I've seen that go south on people too. where they actually have to get a
That would
procedure
suck.
to
It'd
drain
be cool
out
for the first like 20 minutes, but
4 hours later, you're
Yeah.
like, so I told my doc, I'm like, Trazone's not for me, doc. He's like, all right, we'll go to Ambien. So I do Ambien, and for the next 12 years, 3 different doctors, they kept prescribing me Ambien because I am a first responder. At this point, I'm working as a flight nurse. I'm working the ICU, so I got a pretty serious job, and they know that I need to get my sleep. The irony is that Ambien doesn't get you into that deep REM sleep.
oh, it doesn't?
No, it's like drinking whiskey, man. You think you're getting a good sleep, but it's not. It doesn't get in that deep, deep level.
That was actually, I was going to ask you about that because when I was prescribed it, there were no like all these, like my Garmin watch tells me what kind of sleep I get. And some days it'll ruin my day because I'm like, oh my God, I had one tequila last night and now I'm going to be a shitbag all day. So it's like, sometimes I don't always pay attention to it, but I do notice the differences. So when I was prescribed Ambien, like being in rock and roll and at the level that I was, some of the tours we had like doctors on tour, basically. Like you call the rock doc, you tell them your problem, they deliver pills to you at the arena. Like, you know what I mean? Like the pharmacy, one-stop shop, everything, right? Like, and legitimate doctors, like legitimate medical professionals.
Because they know the mission and that you guys have a rock tour. They need to get everybody through
It's
that.
like special operations, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the special operations community.
What do you guys
Like,
need?
Yeah. And
Adderall?
not
Cool.
only that, yeah, they're helping the rock stars. But for me, when I started working for some of the bands that weren't, I guess the festival circuits were really, really hard on me because I've never been able to sleep on a plane, whether I was in first class. I think the only flight that I ever slept on where it wasn't drug induced was Emirates Air, and I had my own room. And I think, but I only slept for like 2 hours or some shit, dude. Like it wasn't that long. I just can't sleep when I'm in the air. It doesn't matter how comfortable I am, how long the flight is, how tired I am. And one thing about the rock and roll touring industry is I don't think people realize, they think their perception is that you got a bottle of Jack in your hand and you're fucking partying and then you got to work a little bit and like all this shit just kind of happens magically and it's like a wild environment. It's not the case, dude. You're working 20 hours a day. You're sleeping on a tour bus to the point where another reason why I was taking it was I spent more nights in the tour bus bunk sleeping than I did in a standalone bed. So when I got to like home, I couldn't sleep because I was used to like rocking down the road and that vibration and the hum of the tires and like the comfortability and like being in a coffin, dude. It's like sleeping in a coffin. Like an extra large coffin, dude.
Isn't that crazy? Then when you go back to your regular
I would
bed,
still,
you can't sleep.
Oh, dude, I would sleep in that today. I liked it that much. Like put me in a dark, cold hole.
That's what our bodies want. We want to sleep in a dark hole. We want our temperature in the room to be 66 to 70
and the buses.
degrees.
So one of the tricks is so you don't get sick, they keep the AC on. No matter, even if you're touring in the middle of the winter, 62 degrees. Never goes above 62 degrees is what we would do on the buses. And that's kind of like a standard. So you put on a hoodie, but it keeps the germs and shit down. Like if you're rolling around at 75 degrees in a comfortable environment, you're going to get sick more often, It's all about staying healthy.
So you're talking about like sick, like cold sick, not just like
pneumonia, all that sort of stuff. Because you're working at 2:00 in the morning, the condensation, the pollution, you're around forklifts, like staying clean is a big part of it, right?
One of the stress levels, I can't imagine being up if you're working 20-hour days. Oh, actually, I can. Working 20-hour shifts. I worked 24-hour shifts on an ambulance, and then when it's downtime, depending on what ambulance and where you're at, you might be sleeping in the front of that ambulance in that chair. If you're the senior, like if you're the senior medic or senior EMT, you get to sleep in the cot in the back. But you're sleeping on a cot that you probably did CPR on a few hours ago, and I'm not sleeping on that shit.
Yeah, no shit.
But the more experienced medics are like, oh, dude, whatever. So Ambien.
So I couldn't sleep unless I was on Ambien on a plane, and I felt.
How many years were you on it for?
Maybe 3 or 4, but I had to make a rule with myself that I could only take it when I was in the air, because I got to the point where it's like, I'm going to take it while I'm on the bus. I'm going to take it when I get to the hotel room. I'm going to take it.
You feel refreshed.
Yeah.
But you're not. You're
really
not getting that deep sleep.
Because I always felt like it was the best sleep. Like I would wake up from the 8 hours. I'm like, I am ready to fucking go.
Yeah. You only get, that, I'm sorry, my sleep physiology is a little bit off, but it's, there's different stages of sleep, and you are getting to a certain level, but it's not the deep sleep that actually regenerates.
Really?
And washes out all the free radicals that are in your brain. So when you get the deep sleep, you have cerebral spinal fluid that comes in, washes away the free radicals that are up inside your brain and then out. Ambien doesn't do that. You will feel refreshed, but you're really not. I was on that fucking shit for 12 years. So I was getting to a point where, I used to call my little nuggets of gold, because it was like 11 o'clock at night and I had a shift that starts at 6:30. It would knock me out for 3 to 4 hours and I would feel better, like I could work. But there's so much to the story of where I can go from here. I was starting to slip, though, in the sense that the sleep deprivation was catching up on me as a flight nurse. And that ultimately, that and a absolutely piss poor, horrible administration that I worked with, it pushed me out of the flight world into where I work now, thankfully. But I still continued Ambien up until about 3 years ago, when I was like, this is just not good for me anymore. And you start looking at the long-term effects of Ambien or sleep deprivation, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that's really all down the road if I keep going this way. So I got together with this guy named Rob Sweetman. He's a former Navy SEAL turned sleep scientist. His nonprofit's called 62 Romeo. That's one of the nonprofits that I support. So part of the proceeds, if you buy Ready Left, Ready Right, I donate it to 3 nonprofits. That's one of them. What 62 Romeo does.
Can you pull that up first, Derek?
Yeah, Rob is a badass individual. So what 62 Romeo does is it educates first responders and nurses how to sleep. And it sounds basic. Well, going through Rob's program.
But anybody could take this protocol. It doesn't have to be a first responder, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He that's what he works on is first responders and military, because our sleep patterns are just super fucked up. There it is, man.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can go on here. There's courses you can take. There's just a lot of education through 62 Romeo. Again, this is a pretty comprehensive program.
So can we dive into this? I want to go back to the ketamine.
Yeah.
But this is a lot of it built on like circadian rhythm, and
a lot of it is talking about the proper things that you need before you're going into sleep. And it actually starts the day of the morning you wake up, waking up at the same time every day, going out and getting light right away. And depending on the type of job, there's Rob. He's been on Fox News and awesome dude.
Nice.
Yeah. I think he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu as well. And
find his Instagram, Derek. Let's give him a follow. I should have him on the podcast.
Oh, you'd be great. And he comes out, splits his time between the Western Slopes in California. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Western Slope of Colorado?
Yep.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I can hook you guys up.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So, Rob, the stuff he teaches is stuff that most people probably know about, but the way he delivers the package, it's just, it hit me in a way that I never think before. I
didn't know anything about this world until I started listening to like Andrew Huberman and his popularity. And man, it has literally changed the way I sleep when I consume caffeine, like he has specifically. And it has all been for the better. And it is so simple.
Yeah, and it's simple stuff. And it's stuff that you probably already know. So no caffeine after 12 because of the half-life of caffeine. And what caffeine does, and Rob teaches you all this stuff, it actually affects adenosine levels. So caffeine doesn't like make you like, it keeps you alert and awake.
Speaking of caffeine, can you give me one of those Jocko Go's? You want one?
Hell yeah.
It's afternoon, dude. Hell yeah. Thank you, bro.
Thank you so much.
Is there any other flavors in there, or are we out? Okay, cool. This works.
So affects adenosine levels in that you want to have high adenosine levels as you're about to go to sleep. So you actually go to sleep. Or caffeine will block adenosine from doing its magic. So for me, even though, let's ignore the time, I'm enjoying this conversation, having a Jocko go with you.
Yeah.
But normally I'm trying.
The Broncos are playing tonight.
Oh, fuck. We're up. At least watch the first half.
Yeah.
But usually I stay away from caffeine after noon.
Mm-hmm.
So after 12 o'clock, I'm shutting down the caffeine. I'm getting up the same time every day. There's a particular way I get up now. There's a device called, if you want to pull this up, it's called a Hatch device, HATCH. And it's like this little globe that illuminates your room like natural sunlight. So instead of a in the morning, you're waking up.
Or picking up your phone to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Blue light, like first thing in the morning, is really bad for you, right?
I would say it's way worse at nighttime. I wouldn't say it's necessarily horrible for you right first thing in the morning, but I would avoid it at nighttime. Getting outside would be the best thing to do. But this little guy right here, it's like this little halogen lamp that lights up your room like a natural sunrise inside your room, as opposed to the blaring alarm. The blaring alarm, for me, I associate it's go time. I need to get on the ambulance, or I need to
So
get
there's
on the
no
chopper.
noise with this? It's just light?
It can have noise like birds chirping and shit like that, but I just have it on a setting where it's just natural light coming in. It's not cheap. You know, it's like $160-ish, 169. But this thing gets my day started the right way, because now I don't have a blaring alarm, which I associate with stress. I associate with having to jump on a helicopter or getting on the ambulance. You know, even though I haven't done that in a few years, it's still built in. This is just a natural, best way to wake up. So your day starts with something like this, then getting outside. So I have a garden outside that I water in the morning. So about 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm out there watering. So I'm outside for, maybe about 15 minutes, and then I go to jiu-jitsu with the 6 a.m. jiu-jitsu class with my wife. Nice. So that's how the day starts.
What a way to start your day, bro.
Great day. This is like an ideal day. Now, there's a lot of days where, like last night, I was on call. So, yeah, I'm not going to get up early, but an ideal day would be starting it this way. And then it leads on. So no caffeine afternoon. Alcohol. I love tequila. I love bourbon, man. Margarita is one of my favorite drinks.
It
but
fucks your sleep.
It fucks your sleep like no other. So after 5 o'clock, if I'm having a drink, I'm really hesitant to have a drink after 5 o'clock.
I really don't drink anymore because of that.
If even one drink.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I love the craftsmanship behind a good bourbon, but after 5 o'clock, it just fucks me up. And if I, let's say, all right, I'll just start drinking at noon.
So if you drink it before 5, you seem to be all right?
I'm better.
Yeah.
But I'm also not having a lot. I'm having 1 or 2 at most. If I have more than 2, it's just going to fuck with my sleep.
What are you ingesting first thing in the morning as far as like, are you fasting, or does that help at all? Or what's the diet situation?
I'm smiling because it's like first thing, well, if I'm about to go roll on some mats, I need that bowel movement out of the way.
Yeah.
I want to go in with their loaded rectum. So coffee helps get things spurred.
You want to change your diet, start rolling jiu-jitsu. Like, you'll be way more conscious if you're a good person, if you're a good partner about what you eat. And you can't go in there on a full stomach and fucking try to kill somebody.
If somebody puts neon belly on you and you got a full stomach, or you're gassy, you put somebody in a triangle, you're not going to have so many friends right away. Yeah. So for me personally, I like to get that out of the way. So a little bit of coffee just pushes that out.
Yeah.
And then I don't eat until about 7:15 when I'm about to roll into work, and it's usually oatmeal with protein powder. And then throughout the day, I'm just constantly snacking at work. So I probably eat 5 meals a day, but it's every 2 hours or so. And that's what works for me.
Okay.
Some people do the intermittent fasting, and I've done that before, and I've had good results with that.
One thing that I implemented, and it also helps if you're consuming alcohol, and then I'm going to let you keep going. I'm going to stop interrupting you. Those Element salt packets, have you ever tried those?
Those are great.
Incredible. So I do one of those first thing in the morning. And just having that like instant hydration and all that sort of stuff, like drinking water right away, but with that salt specifically, like fucking, it'll wake you up like a cup of coffee almost. So I do that while I'm outside in the sun. It's like it's become my ritual. It's like I actually ran out of Element this week, and I was like, shit, I think my credit card that I had signed up for them expired for the subscription thing, so I didn't get sent it. So I was like considering driving to Denver this morning to go buy some Element salt. I was like, I'll just fucking.
If I had known that, I would have brought you some.
I think I have some laying around here somewhere, but I like the citrus one to just put it straight into your tequila. But I found if you drink that before you go to bed, if you've been drinking, because of the magnesium and some of the other stuff in it, it's like an instant.
Oh, interesting.
And I picked that up from, oh my God, dude, maybe it's the CTE in my life. They're actually a sponsor of ours too, so I feel like a real dick. Aubrey Marcus from On It wrote a pretty incredible book. I think look up Aubrey Marcus's book so I can give him a shout out. Yeah, Own Your Day. You know it? Yeah. It's a fucking awesome book. It's good.
I gotta read that.
Yeah.
I'm adding that to my list now. Oh, there you go.
It's good, man.
On Your Day. Badass.
He breaks down all kinds of different stuff in it. And it's not like a regimented, like you have to do this every day. It's like, no, live life. Fucking, you know.
I'm going to eat a fucking pizza.
Yeah.
Once in a while, it's going to happen.
Well, he talks about that, you know, and how to handle it. And
water, light movement, deep breathe, deep freeze. Yeah. So that's, for me, that's like an ideal day is just, but there's a lot of days where it's not going to happen. You know, I got to sleep in a little bit more before I go to work, or, you know, we got too much going on. So it's just not going to happen. But ideally,
it has helped me so much. And I think it's helped me. I attribute some of that because I was doing that along with diet to some of my weight loss. Is like those stressors coming down, getting actual recovery. I notice it in muscle mass that I built because that's one thing I'm trying to put back on. A lot of what I lost of that 75 pounds was so fast and so rapid that I lost a bunch of muscle mass in the process because I was just doing carnivore. And within 100 days, I lost that weight.
Have you checked your cholesterol levels on that diet?
Yeah. I get my blood work done a lot, like every other month.
Oh, wow.
Right now.
And how are they with a carnivore diet?
It's high.
What's high?
I couldn't tell you without looking at it. My doctor could because he's all over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said that I'm with the way that I eat and what I'm burning as fuel. He thinks that I'm fine.
That's cool with that. Yeah.
But it's higher than it. If you went to your normal physician, he would recommend for you to be on medication for cholesterol.
I had high cholesterol. That's why I'm asking. And I switched up my diet. So oatmeal, Cheerios, vigorous exercise, and it dropped it by 40 points.
Yeah.
I also did for a while go, meatless. So I went like a tofu way, but now I've started incorporating back in meat.
Dude, everybody's different, man.
Everybody different. And I don't recommend that for one person. I'm just saying, hey, this is what I did. But man, a good cheeseburger once in a while, hell yeah. A good steak, especially the type of meat that you would get for hunting. We got some game meat in our freezer, and we had elk.
It's way different than beef, dude.
Totally.
Way different.
Way healthier for you.
Way more nutrient packed. It's like, it's really the main reason why I hunt. I mean, I love being in nature, but like that is probably...
I wish
you can't go to the grocery store and buy it. And even if you do, it's been shipped on a boat over here from New Zealand or some shit. It's not
super fucking expensive too. I got to have a few hunting experiences. My buddy out in Montrose go once in a while with him. And, when I bring back meat, it's like, score.
Let's go, man. There's something primal about it too. And you want to talk about we're talking about circadian rhythm and sleep and stuff. That's where humans were naturally supposed to be. We're not supposed to be in sheltered fucking house. No. You're supposed to wake up with the sun, and you notice that when you're out there. I bet you'd be hard pressed to find very many people that have spent 10 days in the backcountry, maybe 1 or 2 days here or there. Right? That's probably the number. Probably jumps up to a huge percentage, but multiple days. I think hunters are probably some of the only people that experience it for that long.
I have mad respect for hunters, especially those sickos that got the crossbow. Or not the crossbow, but go out there with archery, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. You look at, let me see, I'm trying to figure this device that I have. Check out Muse device, MUSE. So I want to go somewhere with this. So this Muse device, this is like a little band.
I'm sorry, is this the wake up?
No, so at nighttime.
Okay.
So at nighttime, Rob recommends that you're starting to shut everything down. And that's through meditation, through breathing exercises. And one of this little device is called the Muse. It might be a Muse 2. It's this band that you put around the front part of your head. And you plug in some phones. And it will help you meditate. And you can see in real time or hear in real time. Yeah, that one, the Muse 2. So in real time, you can hear your brain activity in the form of, I like the rainforest option. So you have the rainforest. And if you're meditating, your brain waves are going to hit a certain level of tranquility and you start hearing birds chirp. And if your brain is chaotic, then in the Muse 2, you'll hear rain, like in a rainforest. So you have real-time feedback about how well and how tranquil and how well you're meditating.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, a little expensive as well, man. So I invested in these things just to like try to optimize my sleep because I'm not going to
better than eating Ambien like Skittles or something, right? Like,
yeah. I want to tell you a funny Ambien story here in a second, but
I got one for you too.
Awesome. So the Muse 2 device, going back to the outside and being outside, you can see how calm you are depending on where you are. So if I go outside and I'm barefoot or I'm on the grass, my ability to meditate is way higher than if I'm sitting on my couch next to my snoring pit bull. Yeah, but I've done these experiments where, I'm going to start outside and then I'm going to come inside.
Really? So barefoot outside.
Yeah, and this whole grounding thing sounds so like woo-woo. You know,
like grounding your sheets and stuff, like people
I don't know about that. Like I don't know that, but just being barefoot outside on grass for half an hour a day and how much it makes a difference. And the proof in the pudding for me is the Muse. And it just, you see, I could hear my brain just winding down.
Really?
If I don't go outside and I try to do this inside, it is not the same effect.
So are you going outside at like 9 o'clock at night in the grass?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do in the winter?
Sucks.
I
don't do this. I mean, luckily I live in the Denver area.
Yeah.
You know, winter's a little bit mild, but yeah, if it's really cold, then I'm not doing it, of course. But it's just not as good.
Yeah.
So that's something that I would do at nighttime. So when I went through Rob's program, I mean, every night you're doing this. Every night you're doing breathing techniques. I don't do that all the time now. I do it maybe once a week or once every other week. But going through the program, you'll start to do these techniques. You start learning different breathing techniques. So going back to the ketamine, though.
Yeah.
So the ketamine, actually, can I tell you my Ambien story? It's really fun.
Yeah.
So this guy I knew, he was a photographer, and he took Ambien. He goes to bed, and he wakes up the next day, and his girlfriend's like, check your phone. So he opens up his phone, and he took over 120 pictures of his dick.
What?
On Ambien, yeah. He was just like different angles, snapping it everywhere. He doesn't remember any of this.
Really?
So I was like, that's some good cocktography there, man.
Wow. I wonder if I ever did any. I know. So I was touring with the Killers, and we had our own charter plane. So it's the same pilots, same flight crew for, certain runs, and then you would get a new charter company or whatever, right? But dope plane. I mean, it said like fucking Killers down the side of it, and you had a specific seat. It's the way to fucking fly, dude, for sure. But this was heavy Ambien. Like I'm taking an Ambien. If I'm at, 500 feet off the ground, I don't care if the flight's a half an hour, I'm going to take a fucking Ambien, right? So I had a routine, and this is probably not the healthiest routine, was also a glass of red wine with that Ambien, just to really, so it was a glass of red wine, and I'm looking back at it. But I also, the doc told me, super cool dude. This dude had fucking hair like he was an old rocker, He told me, he said, just make sure that you don't piss yourself, man. Like if you're on a plane or something, get up, go to the bathroom, then take it. Because people will fucking piss their pants. They're sleeping that hard, right? So I always had that in my mind. So I'm on this flight, and this might have been this was a commercial flight. I forgot about that. Anyways, I go through my ritual, glass of red wine, little bit of food, boom, Ambien goes down the hatch. Well, before I would take the Ambien, I would get up and go use the restroom, then come back to my seat, then pop the Ambien. Well, I'm like, fuck, dude, I forgot to go to the bathroom. I was like, I do not want to piss my pants on this flight. So I get up, there's somebody in the bathroom, and I'm standing in the aisle, and I wake up to these 2 flight attendants vigorously shaking me. Sir. I was dead out, standing up with my hands in my pocket, sleeping, standing straight up. I'm so lucky I didn't like Chris Farley into the next bulkhead seats or whatever were right there. You know what I mean? Like those poor people, like a fucking 250-pound dude come barreling
Good
into.
reference, by the way.
Yeah.
Chris Farley.
I just think of him going through the coffee table, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then I was actually on a flight. I took an Ambien and the engine caught fire on the flight.
Holy shit.
And I thought I was hallucinating because I guess, wasn't that Tiger's deal? Like if you stay up on Ambien, you like hallucinate a little bit and it makes sex better. I mean, your buddy was dick picking it up and
he didn't report that he got it on. It's just the girlfriend was, I think, just laughing at him as he's taking over 120 pics of his dick.
Odd. Man, I like being in control, you know?
Yeah, that's where ketamine comes in. That's a good leeway back to ketamine. So ketamine, the way it works, it is an analgesic and a sedative. So it works on your NMDA receptors, these receptors up in the brain. And glutamate is it's a neurotransmitter. It causes excitement. It's really great for memory. It's really great for learning things. So what ketamine will do, it will bind to these receptors that glutamate also binds to. Well, you also have these other receptors that go to the same NMDA receptor where the ketamine hangs out. And what ketamine will do is it will block those other neurotransmitters that are more inhibitory, and glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter. So basically what it's like cutting the brakes on the car, where glutamate's just going to go through those receptors and just light up your brain. So you're going to have like this flood of what they call like neuroplasticity from it. You're going to be able to form new memories. You're going to be able to learn new things. And you're going to trip some serious balls too once they put you into a disassociative state. So I went to a place called Balance Mental Wellness out in Englewood. Great place. There's a lot of places you can go and get ketamine therapy, but
you didn't have to go out of country for it.
No. You have ketamine clinics all over, Denver area. I'm sure everywhere
really?
In the United States. Yep. And then if you're a first responder and you're a nurse, shop around. There's places that will give you discounts based off of being a first responder.
I think there's some nonprofits that help with it too. Yeah.
So you go in and I went into this ketamine clinic not because of past childhood trauma, but because I read a study that ketamine will help you sleep better by increasing was something called the brain-derived neurotropic factor. So if the brain-derived neurotropic factor, the BDNF, one study showed that a larger amount or a higher increase of that BDNF will reduce your stress levels, and then you'll be able to sleep better from it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So after I went through the 62 Romeo program, my sleep did improve. It improved dramatically. It went from like 1 to 3 hours a night. Now I'm sleeping 5 to 7 hours a night. But I felt like there was still just something there. There was still like this angst that I had at nighttime. There was still something underlying. And I contributed to, I just need to sleep more. So what else is out there? So I went to ketamine clinic. I presented them this research, and like, that's really interesting. And then they started asking me questions.
So are most people doing it for this sort of thing, or what? It's a recreational thing? Or?
No. This is a professional. This is a health clinic that you would go to.
Okay.
So I read a PubMed study.
Like, just for disclaimer purposes, I'm not condoning this, but what was their disclaimer as far as like, do people, because I know with like psilocybin and stuff like that, and even like THC, the natural derivative in marijuana or weed, it it can cause some like psychotic breaks and stuff like that, right?
Ketamine
Like
can do that too. So
really?
First thing you do, you go to the clinic and you get evaluated by a doctor or nurse practitioner and make sure that you would actually that the ketamine would be right for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the percentage of patients that they would turn away. But in my case, when I went to them saying, hey, I'm interested in doing ketamine for sleep reasons, and they looked at me and they're like, let me ask you a few questions. And I started talking about my childhood and how I was a flight nurse and first responder. And they're like, buddy, you got some other issues we can easily take care of. I had OCD. I know it never really goes away, but I have some OCD tendencies. I'm talking about touching doorknobs a certain amount of times, or, rituals that I have to do when I was a teenager, or I couldn't move on with my day. So
is your OCD like stuff being organized, or is it like certain?
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but for me,
because it's like a first responder or a high level military guy or a roadie.
Yeah,
like everything has its fucking place, and if it's not in that place, it can be an issue, right?
It can be an issue because the stakes are very high. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have OCD. OCD is like something where you have to perform something. Like for me, it was counting numbers. I had to count numbers a certain amount. I had to count. If I went somewhere, I would have to count a number. It's weird. If I went through a particular door, I would have to touch doorknobs a certain amount of times.
Really?
Like the 3, 9, 12, those numbers meant something to me. So it's weird.
Yeah.
And a lot of it went away when I moved out of that house, but I would still have some OCD tendencies.
So this developed as a child.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is common. I've heard it's common when someone has experienced childhood trauma to have some particular OCD, because it's a way, I think, of trying to regain control of a situation.
You're controlling something, right?
Yeah. My mom, she definitely, she's got some OCD. The things had to be right for her, and in particular things. An extremely neat person. But with OCD, there's also impulsive thoughts. I've had some fucked up thoughts come just right through my brain. You're like, where did that come from? I mean, violent, near homicidal thoughts where you're like, that's scary. That's not me. Like, I don't want to do that. And I have no urge to do that. But where did that thought come from?
There's a commonality with that with suicide too, I think. Like a lot of the guys that I've talked to, whether they're first responders or people that have been open with those experiences in their life, it's like the thought wasn't really, for most of them, it wasn't really like this underlying thing that they thought about all the time. Like, oh, I'm just going to kill myself. I'm just going to kill myself. It was like a sudden like flash and almost like a trance that they were able to be like, holy shit, why was I thinking that?
Some from what I've read and what I've heard, is that with suicide, it's that, I don't know about how impulsive it is. What I do know is that a lot of times people think that as shitty as your life is, that suicide is the answer because they feel that they are a burden to other people.
Yeah,
So
there's that's that commonality too. But I'm talking about like in the actual moments when they were like going, like I understand that part of it, but like there's a commonality that I've kind of put together, whether it's listening to other podcasts or this, and I think people need to be careful of this because it could very easily happen to you. It's almost like a
spontaneous.
It's a very spontaneous, like maybe you're dealing with a lot of stress, you have a lot of problems, you have a lot of stuff, and then there's some real science behind this too. Like after talking to, I don't know if it was me and Doc Kate that were talking about this. I don't know if we talked about it on the air. I feel like we did. Incredible
like
episode. You need to go and listen to that. But
it's
a very like there's those underlying things, right? And like a lot of these people are performing at high levels. Like some of them are pro athletes. Some of them have had some traumatic brain injury. So there's like their brain's not firing the way it should be to get sleep. There's probably some sleep deprivation. But then if you've ever been truly like sleep deprived, I've had psychedelic experiences, like I would be eating, you know, an ounce of mushrooms, as I have been sleep deprived, like driving. Like I remember vividly driving back with a band when I first started touring, because the band members, we would take turns driving, and we were all like in a van, like towing a trailer. And we were coming back to Colorado, but we had been touring up around the Northeast. And I grew up in a family of kind of like loggers. And then I worked in a sawmill for a little while. And I swear to God, there was a logging truck that was in front of me, and it rolled and all the logs went everywhere. And I swerved the van like to miss shit. And when I came like to, I don't know if I was asleep or dreaming, there was nothing there, bro. Fuck. And I almost killed us all for no reason. There was nothing in the road. Luckily, there wasn't another car coming or some shit. But I saw this truck in front of me, and it jackknife and then roll. Damn. Like plain as day.
God, thank God you didn't react and just pull.
I did react. Like we started fishtailing. Our trailer was all over the fucking place. Woke up all the guys.
Sorry, guys. I saw something. Final Destination there.
And I was sober, man. Like, so that was one experience. But anyways, I think that there's like sudden things that happen to you. It's almost like you can call it divine, you can call it a mental break, but I think it's these flash like things that are almost like a possession, man. When you talk to a lot of the people that I've talked to, it's like, and then the only thing that kept them from actually doing it is they realized what they were doing. Like that, the only thing that kept me from wrecking that night was I realized there actually wasn't a logging truck there, so I didn't have to keep jerking the wheel around and dodging shit. It's like you're almost in a trance. And like some of the people that I know, like closely, that I've personally known that have done it, are people that are the most caring, unassuming. Maybe their life's really squared away. So I think that there's something, and this is just me thinking out loud, I think that there's something to that. I think it can come to you in a flash or a possession or you can call it a demon, whatever, right? Like it's something that takes over your mind like in a split second. So I think if you have these underlying issues, and just because of the friends, like I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about this, because fucking really bothers me that when people leave this world before they're supposed to, you know what I mean? Like, especially like some of the people that have so much love and so much care for other people and sacrifice themselves, whether they were in the military or first responders or wildland firefighters, or like, it's all people that we need. And even if you're a piece of shit, I don't want, you know, in life, maybe you're robbing, stealing, cheating, lying, but you can turn that into something better. Like if you listen to one of our most recent episodes with Jason Lee, like went to prison, like fucking is a street fighter. But bro, one of the kindest humans you'll ever meet face to face. You know, absolute savage, but absolute amazing person, man. Like there's good in everybody. So I'm really like, if I ever started thinking I'm going to have suicidal thoughts, and I've done some episodes specifically on suicide with professionals, and I know for a fact in the Denver area, and there's a lot of places where if you own firearms, you can go turn them in. Mm-hmm. Because everybody that I know that has committed suicide has been from a firearm, because they're in the house, they're readily accessible. It's an easy thing to grab. And once you do that, man, the consequences are grave. You're not coming back from that, right? Like, I mean, if you do, it's an incredible blessing. Like
all the family and friends that are affected by that. I mean, even people that you kind of know in the peripheral are going to be affected by that.
But there's safe places to turn in your firearms, and they'll hang on to them until you feel like stable enough to, like, even if those thoughts are crossing your mind at all, because I think it is a possession. And if that's readily available for self-defense or whatever, you know, like,
if you look, I think at the statistics of gun violence in our country, I think it's like 4,800 people have died due to guns, but the majority have been, I think, for suicide. And then it's like, or right around the same amount of people have
really,
homicide, suicide, and then death by cops. And then there's like a few that you're like, we don't know what happened. It was just a gun involved. But you're absolutely right. I mean, that is
just a bunch of accidental death too, man.
Yeah.
Like
hunting.
When
my sleep was really bad before I went into the 62 Romeo, I didn't want to be careful because how I say this. I had thoughts of not suicide, but I had thoughts of I don't know how I'm going to survive this.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm sleeping 1 to 3 hours a night, I don't know how long I keep going on for. But luckily, through 62 Romeo and through ketamine, I got over that hump, and thank God.
Well, a lot of people turn to alcohol or some other sort of substance, Ambien.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're really depleted. Now you're getting faked to sleep or drugged to sleep, right?
And some people with alcohol, I mean, you're talking about like being just making split decisions that are not good.
Mm-hmm.
You throw some alcohol in that, and you're sleep deprived. You're feeling pretty down.
All the worst decisions I've ever made in my life has been in alcohol. Has involved alcohol. Like stupid decisions, right?
Yeah.
Like,
have I ever made a good decision on alcohol? I don't know. Well,
I feel like I have. I feel like you're the fucking man, Like that's part of the problem. It's like it's ego in a bottle. It really is. Like you go to any major sporting event. You talk to any street patrol officer that has to go to a fucking bar. You talk to any bouncers.
Yeah.
When people that are winning stupid prizes are playing stupid games, and I would say 99% of those involve alcohol in some sort of form or fashion.
I have lost track how many times I had to respond to accidents by alcohol or alcohol in the hospital. Someone who comes into the hospital because of pneumonia, but they're a heavy drinker. Well, they're going to go through alcohol withdrawals. Worked in Albuquerque. Alcohol was a big thing down there, and it is everywhere. But I felt like, man,
the more rural spots it is, because it's crazy how accessible it is. Like you can go to the grocery store and go down the organic aisle and get fucking, you name it, right? Apples, fucking spinach, like all the shit that's supposed to be healthy for you, organic meats. But then just on the other side of the aisle
right where the
are
eggs
bottles of poison, like literal poison. I mean, alcohol, if you drink enough of it, you will fucking die, dude. So it's like, it's so crazy what we have in our society and what's acceptable and the amount of revenue that's made off of it, right? Not only in the sales, but you start looking at it from a legal standpoint. How many lawyers have jobs defending DUIs or prosecute? How many fines are involved? How many people are in jail?
Hospital admissions.
Bro. I mean, we don't want to go down those rabbit holes, especially with your career, but like,
I've seen.
Yeah, it's wild. And when you start looking at it from a monetary standpoint, right?
Yeah, I don't know how many millions, but I mean, our healthcare, God.
Yeah. Let's not even talk about that because I don't want to jeopardize anything for you, right?
I mean, I could talk about like the overall state of our healthcare without having to go talk about like what.
Let's stick to you because we're 2 hours in right now.
Oh, nice.
And
it feels like 5 minutes, man.
We're kind of coming up on time because I have an obligation later today. But this is just the first episode. I don't know if I told you this, but when you're on here once, you're expected to be on. You'll be on more.
Appreciate that.
Right?
It's
a recurring thing. So
it is an honor to be here,
dude. So I feel like we've just are like scratching the surface. But I wanna finish with your ketamine experience, and then dude, we didn't even get into. We just got to have you back.
Let's talk about ketamine.
Yeah, let's talk about that, and how sleep has helped you. And
so we got to the part with you need to be evaluated by a doctor or nurse practitioner, make sure that ketamine is the right for you. Typically, the protocol is 2 sessions for 3 weeks in a row. Every clinic that you go to is going to have their own thing. The one that I went to, Balanced Mental Wellness, what I liked is that you had a ketamine, quote, coach in the room with you while you're going through ketamine. You can give it IM, so intramuscular shot, or you can inject it through an IV. They do it an intramuscular shot. So it takes a few extra moments to work, but at least you're not getting, you don't need to get an IV for it. They give you a initial dose, and I'll put some numbers out there. My initial dose was like 15 milligrams, and then they followed it up about 15 minutes later with another dose. And I think my first dose was like 35. So my first session, I got about 50 milligrams of ketamine. And each session I would get a little bit more because your body does get used to it. Now, we talked about psychedelics. You are totally disassociated. That the world you go into is like Tron meets Matrix meets Super Mario. And it is as real as this conversation that you're having. It feels as real as this table I am touching right now, the experiences that you have when you are totally disassociated. Going back to my childhood, so let me tell you, like, one of my experiences. So being in the basement of my childhood home, it's dark. There's like one little light that comes in there. I was terrified, and I'm seeing, like, when I am getting my first session of ketamine, as it starts to kick in, you just start feeling it. You start yawning. You start getting like this dry mouth. And just the world starts closing down on you. You do have, your eyes are covered by some type of eye protection, and you do have these like noise cancellation headset. If you go to like Spotify, you can listen to ketamine music playlist, which I highly recommend.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, I think it's called like
The Grateful Dead?
It is not. It's no lyrics.
Please tell me it's not jam bands, dude.
No.
Okay.
It's very like floaty type of atmospheric music. No
so kind of like
lyrics.
a meditation type music or something?
Yeah, kind of. I'm trying to think of it like the most popular bands, I don't know, Explosions in the Sky, but way less.
Okay. We'll just go and listen to it. You don't have to,
Yeah, I mean, you're hearing some guitar and some like violin, and it's just nice, and it's a trip just listening to it itself. So you're hearing that music, and then you start seeing images. And one of the first fucking things that I saw was like darkness and a little light, like the introduction to James Bond's, that light that comes across. I was like, holy shit, I'm back in the basement. And then I realized, like, but I'm not afraid anymore. And that was just the first 5 minutes. I'm back in this basement that I had this childhood experience, but I'm not afraid anymore. In fact, where is that light coming from? Let's go explore it. Let's go attack it. Let's walk towards that light. And for the first time, I was feeling like I was taking back control. So I could almost manipulate this playground in my mind of things. And I started realizing that all the things I'd experienced and all the traumatic experiences, that it made me who I am, and I feel connected to everybody else because of those experiences. I had what the counselor called like your ego died, because I felt like I died twice on ketamine. I saw my body disintegrate into little particles, and all the particles became part of an asteroid belt. And I realized that, okay, my particles, my being is part of this asteroid belt that is made up of everybody else. Oh, what's the connection? Empathy. I feel connected to everybody. Different perspectives, but I feel connected. I feel connected to you, people that are on the streets. Not like, hey, give me a hug. I just had more empathy for everybody.
Just an ego death, right? Like
total ego death. I was able to just shed a lot of that stress, a lot of those things I was harboring were gone after 6 sessions. Before that, I would get angry about a lot of fucking shit. Bang my elbow against the table. I get a little stain on my shirt or something. I would start swearing out loud, get really pissed off. A lot of that just went away. And I was able to start realizing that all these experiences, like I said, all these experiences I've had made me up who I am. But now I feel more connected to everybody. My ego is gone, and it was just a sense of peace that I didn't have for a long time. Then my sleep started to improve more. So now I'm getting, sometimes above 7 hours. I do have bad nights, especially if I'm on call. I'm not going to sleep very well. But those intrusive thoughts that I used to have, don't really get them. Once in a while I'll get them, but it's not like it was every day.
Mm-hmm.
I became a better nurse. I had more empathy for people, I had more patience for people. And
which is fucking important, man. The people are seeing you in their worst day of their lives. You know what I mean?
If you don't have empathy and you're taking care of somebody, then you need to get out. Yeah, you're seeing somebody in the worst day of their lives. You're absolutely right. You want to be able to look them in the eye and hey, I got you. You got a lot of shit going on right now, but I got you. We're going to take damn good care of you. Don't worry about this.
That's incredible, man.
So that's what ketamine did for me. Death of an ego.
Did it help with, because it's just such a perspective shift. Because I've had some DMT experiences. They're very similar, like ego deaths, put you in your place. You're not as big as you think you are. You're not as important as you.
And that relaxes.
You can't even explain it. It's hard to explain. It's just a different perspective. And it's, how fast is the ketamine journey? Is it you're in and out in 30 minutes or?
About an hour. So it takes about 5 minutes to start kicking in, and then you're probably in it for about 45 minutes.
So
and
it's
then
probably very similar to DMT is about probably the same.
And no hangover afterwards. Bright light did affect me for a while. I wasn't going to go driving. So wife picked me up, brought me back home, and I'm just sitting in the backyard with my dog like this. It's awesome. So you're happier. You have that gradual descent of, but you're happy the entire time. And you don't feel hungover after it. I would recommend though,
really, because I had some remorse after, I can't believe I was that big of a piece of shit to think this and that, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was selfishness. I think that it brought to the surface that I didn't realize I had, or entitlement, and this was a few years ago, but I felt like it definitely made me a better person. But unless you're ready to unpack some shit, right, or you're looking to unpack some shit, I don't recommend it. And I think a lot of people, I know Doc Kate and I talked about this specifically, is you need to use these things as a vehicle to get better. But then in 6 months when you start feeling shitty again, doesn't mean that you need to go do it again. That could have more detriment to your life, because now, I don't know, man. It's tricky. Everybody's fucking different. I think some people, they tend to use it like a substance, right? Getting addicted to alcohol, you could get it addicted to having these out-of-body experiences. And there's different ways to do that to get, Doc Kate could break it down way better than I can, but to get that dopamine release or the right amount of sleep, it sounds like you're doing some alternative therapies outside of just going and doing ketamine, right? You're trying multiple different things, and all that is helping together. But I think some people get stuck in it's been 6 months, I need to go do another DMT trip, right?
Those coping mechanisms you get when you go at least with ketamine, you start going back to that. And they do talk about all right, well, sometimes you need a maintenance dose. And I don't think necessarily a maintenance dose is a bad thing. I've did this 2 years ago and I haven't gone back.
Yeah.
And I think I could probably benefit by going back, but time, money, all right, what did I learn from it? Let me look back in my journal.
But those perspectives stick with you, right?
Yes, totally. Yeah. That's why you write that down.
Yeah. It's why I microdose mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, man, it's just enough just to open the world a little bit for me to appreciate things a little bit more.
Totally.
And it's not even a psychedelic out of body experience. None of that shit.
Well, if you're having that experience and you're not microdosing, you're macrodosing at that point. Yeah, you're just kind of taking the edge off. You're having more empathy. Your ego's not there. You feel connected to people, and it helps with neuroplasticity as well. You're able to make connections faster. You're able to make new memories or gain knowledge about a particular thing. As a first responder, I do want to say this: that the level of control that you need as a first responder, as a nurse, again, you need to know where everything is. You need to be in charge of that patient. To go into a ketamine clinic or to go to therapy, you need to start getting rid of that control, and that's extremely hard. My first session in ketamine was so powerful, I didn't want to go back, though, because I was losing control. I was totally disassociated. So then I was like, fuck, I got 5 more of these sessions.
So does it make your OCD worse or better initially?
Better. It always did. It never got worse from that. Things were getting better right away from it. But I was still scared about going back because of losing that control. When you're totally disassociated, and the guilt that comes with that. Like, I can't believe I'm lying in this chair. I'm spending this amount of money and this amount of time, and my wife has to pick me up for me. I'm investing my time into me, and that's embarrassing.
Which is a huge correlation to first responders and high level military guys, is like that not selflessness,
putting others first, and
putting others first. Yeah.
And it's nurses
not taking care of yourself.
No, nurses were horrible at that. Absolutely horrible at that. And things got to change. You got to put yourself first to be able to take care of others, and we're very bad at that. So going through some type of psychotherapy, looking at yourself in the mirror and putting yourself first, it's hard. Ketamine, though, it's going to force you to do that.
It'll do it for you.
It will do it for you.
Like that, right?
Once that shot goes in, you're like, oh my God, here comes the black curtain, the Tron green lights flashing at you.
Wow. And don't try this. I mean, ketamine is super dangerous if you're not doing it with a professional, right?
I could not imagine doing this on my own at my house. 1, I wouldn't know what dose to do.
Yeah.
2, I'm super grateful that I had somebody in the room, because I went to some places. It's not all happy and fun. You go to some dark places in there, and there's times where I was scared. And I would, Boa was my ketamine coach. I would yell out, "Am I okay?" And then she would just squeeze my toes to know that she's on the other side. She's in this other world. I'm in this world of ketamine. I'm totally disassociated with what's going on around me. And I need somebody to know that, hey, I'm on the other side and you're okay. Because one time I thought, when I was under ketamine, that I destroyed the room, that I broke everything. I mean, everything. That I even killed a person in the room. I was just like, I just destroyed. Like, all the walls are gone. The couch is destroyed. And I woke up, was like, well,
I mean, are you in a sleep state at that point while you're having these trips, or do they have to restrain you at all?
No.
Or is there, okay.
Because when I'm living, I actually asked my ketamine counselor or coach to film me when I do it. And you see,
I bet you that was fucking
it's
weird,
trippy. Yeah. And there's I'm doing some little arm movements, and that's about it. So what you think you're doing, you're not doing. You're totally out.
It's virtual.
It is
reality.
all behind it's all in your brain.
Yeah.
So when I woke up and I realized, the walls are still up. Thank God. Oh, the couch is still here. Oh, thank God.
We could go down a deep rabbit hole on this, but have you tried DMT?
I've not.
Okay. Sounds very, very similar to ketamine, from what I've heard. And the amount of people that it's helping, guys with PTSD or traumatic brain injury, there's so many people that are getting benefits from ketamine. I know is a huge one, right? Because it's actually probably safer than DMT. But DMT, and I could be totally wrong on this, so don't listen to me for any medical advice or like scientific, like not the guy. But I think maybe this is something you could look up to, Derek, is I think it's a natural chemical that's already in your body, because like one of the processes you have to do is you have to eat like this certain, it's been a while. It's something so your body will actually absorb the DMT so you can have the trip, because it's in plants, it's in the human body already. But I think some of the science behind it is they think it's released into your body when you're dying.
Yeah.
Like your body's flooded with it, right?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
I had this, dude, it's almost like divine. I experienced my first death this year that was like natural. And I wasn't in the room when my family member actually expired. But there was this weird, she had been out for, it's fucked up, man. I don't really want to share too much about this because I don't want to upset other family members, but I was out of town on work, and I was in a situation where I really couldn't leave. And when I had left town, the nurses and doctors had told me that she was going to be fine. She was going to pull through. Well, there was a decision that had to be made. I was in Chicago. I was trying to get out of Chicago. The day that I came back, I flew back, left early, flew back, went straight to the hospital, and she passed later that night. I spent like 4 or 5 hours with her that afternoon. And it was one of the most horrific things I've ever experienced in my life, like for own personal reasons that I'm not going to share. But there was a moment there where she was basically in a morphine-induced sleep to make her as comfortable as possible at the end of her life. But the sure shit, she hadn't been coherent to anybody, and she had seen everybody else in the family. The moment that I walked into the room, I looked up, and I'm sure this is all coincidental, but I just happened to I had trouble looking at her and seeing her in the state that she was in, and I was actually in shock, and I actually got upset, mad that she was in the state that she was in, and I couldn't look at her. Because I was like, okay, I need a minute just to process. So I looked at the wall, and there was Jesus nailed to the cross exactly where I looked, which fucking freaked me out. And I'm not super religious. The podcast has changed some other people's perspectives have made me revisit faith and question some of it. So that was a really crazy experience for me the first thing I looked at. I was just trying to look away, and that is burned into my mind. But then when I actually got the courage to go to the bedside, she opened her eyes, knew I was there. She couldn't talk, but there was a moment where, I said some things to her, and told her it was okay, that she had done enough in her life, that she could go. And I said, I hope that you weren't waiting for me to get back. And she passed later that night. But I don't know, man. It's
I've seen that a lot.
That was kind of my question. In the field that you're in, and then going through these experiences, and then being on the other side of that, and then I was having trouble dealing with it the other night. And I just when I want to tune out, I don't really listen to podcasts too much anymore because I'm doing so much in here and I don't really want it to influence me. But I was listening to Joe Rogan, and pull up Joe Rogan's recent episodes. It's a former SEAL. And then if you scroll down to his episodes, it's the dude with the beard right there.
Chad Wright.
Chad Wright. Okay, so I listened to that episode start to stop. I was supposed to be going to bed, And he's a very religious guy, former SEAL. And he talked about a near experiencing somebody pass and being in the room with them and him sitting up out of bed and like just where he thinks people goes. And I kind of had the same experience. So this all happened. It was kind of like a divine thing. The moment that I started having trouble dealing with it and then listening to him, it's just weird, man. It's just weird. I think that there's something on the other side of life. I think you're experiencing it with DMT. I think you're experiencing it with ketamine. I think it's a glimpse into that other world. You should definitely go and listen to this because I'm curious. And then with you experiencing it so much in the hospital and some of these calls that you ran or being on the helicopter unit, I mean, I don't think people realize when a helicopter is called to a car accident or to be that first line of service, it's a near-death experience. Like you are seeing people in their absolute worst state. They are on their deathbed.
When you call in a medevac helicopter, it's when 911 needs 911. You're calling in the medevac helicopter.
Right.
So you typically, can we be the first ones on scene? Yeah, we can be, but a lot of times fire is on scene first. Mm-hmm. And the situation is so bad that they need to get the patient to the hospital faster, or they're far away, or they need blood on scene that they will call in a medevac.
Or they need crowfab or whatever, right?
We don't carry crowfab. Now, I don't know if some agencies do, but that would be, I've heard of, I never ran a rattlesnake bite. I've seen it in the hospital plenty of times in the ICU I worked in. I had one dude got fucking bit by a rattlesnake because he put a rattlesnake in the hole of a pool table, or in the where you collect the pool balls, right in the little pocket.
Like it just happened to be in there, or
no, he fucking threw it in there, and then all of a sudden.
Well, what the fuck are you doing holding the rattlesnake to begin with?
Just alcohol.
Yes.
It goes back to alcohol.
Yeah.
So with rattlesnake, I could talk about rattlesnake bites for a while. But we've run calls where I ran a call where somebody's been bit by a rattlesnake, and that it is, we need to give them diesel. We need to put them in the helicopter and get them to the hospital that's got crowfab as fast as possible. Yeah. And that is an 8-minute flight time versus 25.
Believe it or not, I've experienced it firsthand. I wasn't bitten, but my nephew was, and I was there. And shout out to West Metro.
Damn.
As soon as I got him to the parking lot, which was we were 2 miles from, the first firefighter I handed him to, he said, we're going to call a helicopter. Are you okay with that? I was like, do whatever you need to do. And, they did. And he was literally out of that parking lot within, I ran the fastest. Dude, I wish I would have logged it for my fucking Strava, dude. I ran the fastest mile I ever ran in my fat guy could have fucking
carrying,
run ever,
5-minute
dude.
mile.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. It had to be like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
I bet, man.
And the timing of it all, like the fire truck was just meeting the parking lot, and it was crazy. But from start to stop, I mean, I think probably, because I think they logged it. I think it was 20 minutes from him actually being bit when they got the first 911 call. Me getting him to the parking lot, he was at Children's Hospital.
Hell yeah.
And that happened on the Front Range,
It's no joke. You need to get them to the hospital.
Yeah, pretty wild, man.
So a helicopter would be great for that. Motor vehicle accidents is prolonged extrication, so it's going to take a while to get them out of that vehicle. Strokes, heart attacks, and those are all time-sensitive things. You need to get them in as fast as possible. So when 911 needs 911, you call the bird. But
people are in fucking horrible shape at that point, right?
Can be, yeah. I mean, or it's just,
or it's a really rural spot, right?
Or it's just, this is a time sensitive thing. They don't look horrible right now, but they're a ticking time bomb. So we need to get them in,
right?
If someone, for example, this particular hospital in Colorado, it doesn't have a cardiac lab, so they don't have a cath lab. So they come into to this area, they're having chest pain. Put them on an EKG, 12-lead EKG. It shows ST elevation. This patient's having a heart attack. All the cardiac enzymes are positive. We need to get them into a cath lab as soon as possible. Call in the helicopter. We get there. They look all right, but underneath it all, you know that shit could go really south.
That's crazy. A hospital doesn't have a cardiac?
So let me back up a little bit. So you got, when I was a flight nurse, I would say 90% of my calls were intra-facility transports.
What does that mean?
10%. So you take a patient from a hospital
to another
hospital. 10% of those were probably what we do, landing on the interstate, somebody's best or stay. So it's
this is why a lot of the like helicopter units here are privately owned by the hospitals, right, or something like that. Or?
It's a complicated question. Some of those helicopters are actually owned by like Air Methods is a big, large company out there that will rent essentially the helicopter out to some of the medevac companies here. And yes, some medevac companies do own their own helicopters, but it's typically why you will see, like in the Front Range, a helicopter that's associated with a hospital, because it will bring patients into that hospital, but it will also transport patients within or even outside of their hospital or health system.
Gotcha.
To their own health system, to another hospital or to someplace. So, for example, if a patient is taken down to, let's say, Parker Hospital, Parker does not have the capability to deal with strokes. So if a patient has a stroke and is brought to Parker, they need to get to University Hospital, Littleton Hospital, Denver, St.
I would just think for cardiac stuff, isn't that the number one killer of, I think, most?
I think depending on the age group, you're going to have different, so it'll be more vehicle accidents for.
This is another point to be prepared, man. Know what hospital to go to, because
that's where our job comes in. So we will know. But however, if you have somebody that they're near Parker and you think that they're having a stroke, you're going to bring them to Parker because they need to get imaging first. You're not going to say, well, they're having signs of it, and you're not 100% sure. You're not going to take the extra time.
No, I guess that makes more sense.
So you're going to bring them to the nearest hospital to stabilize them. But that's where the flight company will come in.
I guess it's a little bit different living here because we have so many choices which way you go down the hill, right?
But I've flown over the studio a lot, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, there's a part in the book that takes place in Elk Meadow.
Yeah. Little rattlesnake bite. Yeah.
That's where I came up with the crow fab. I remembered what it was. Yeah, my nephew actually came out from that flying, but I think he was 4 or 5 at that time. And he didn't get bit just once because he picked it up. And it bit him like 3 or 4 times.
I had a patient once that survived a plane crash in the 80s.
Holy shit.
Broke a lot of fucking bones. And
could you imagine, bro?
Yeah, he survives a plane crash, like a little Cessna. And then I met him because he had a rattlesnake bite on his hands. He was like in his garden. He reached down and boom, rattlesnake got him. He said that the rattlesnake bite was more painful than the plane crash.
Really?
I was like, wow, that's crazy.
I know with what my nephew went through, I mean, the physical therapy and everything, like it's not just it's something that lingers for a while. I think he's 100% now. I mean, he plays video games, so he got bit on the thumb, but it's crazy the science that goes behind it and how they track it and what the anti-venom. I learned so much,
Cool place to go to. You go to Albuquerque. There's a rattlesnake museum down in Albuquerque, and you go and you see all the different. Is that where
they have the fucking pit of rattlesnakes and the dude in it, and
there's no pit. They're all behind glass, but it's well organized. You see, the many species of rattlesnakes that we have here in the United States.
Yeah.
But going back to your family member,
I wanted
passing it. From my perspective in the hospital, I've seen that a lot where somebody's waiting for the patient's waiting for a family member to arrive, and then they pass after, and it's crazy. And that patient could be totally out of it, not talking.
Like she wasn't supposed to live that amount of time. It was supposed to happen like overnight. I was like, well, shit, I'm not going to make it back. And then it drug on. I really think she was waiting to see me, dude.
I don't argue that at all. I've seen that, and I believe that some people are just waiting, or they're waiting for people to leave. I've seen that too. Mm. When this person that they're waiting for comes and then they leave, they just let go. And death is it can be someone who's helped a lot of people pass. If you go to comfort care, you're in the ICU, and the disease process is just too much, or the family or the patient said, I've had enough, I want to go to comfort care. Yeah. Well, then you're starting the morphine drip and you're giving them all the other medications to make sure that they're comfortable. You're still treating them, you're just treating them in a different way. And it is, it can be an absolutely beautiful thing just to let somebody pass that way, as opposed to what we often do is break ribs doing CPR and doing all these things that are just not going to help them.
I mean, she did everything in her power to sit up and like give me a hug. And it's not supposed to be, I don't know, man. It's something that I still need to explore, but the experience that I heard on Rogan,
Chad
Wiggins. Chad Wright. Jesus, Chad. I'm both sorry, dude. And we have mutual friends. But anyways, his experience, he was talking about like people sitting up and reaching out, like going to, like they're supposed to be like broken backs and shit.
Yeah,
and
they just all of a sudden start talking. You're like, well, I didn't think they were going to start talking. Or they start saying things that you're like, I don't know what that means, but that meant something to that person. They're drawing some memory. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nuts.
That's
and it's an honor to be part of that.
Yeah.
It's not to be, feared. It's an honor to be part of that cycle of life, to see somebody pass peacefully. My preceptor once told me years ago that there's worse things than death, and we see them every day in the hospital. And those things are when we are continuing care beyond the point of this is helping the patient, and we are causing them more harm. And we're delaying delaying the inevitable. It's supposed to just letting them pass peacefully and making sure that they're comfortable when they pass.
And that's the hard decision I think you have to make as those family members that I never realized. Like every death I've ever experienced up until then was like sudden and tragic, whether it was a car accident or a suicide or you name it. There's so many different ways to go, but I don't know. That was the first time where it was like a peaceful death, but I don't know if it was that peaceful. Like you dealing with that on a weekly basis, right? Probably.
Yeah.
And for multiple years, what are your like coping mechanisms? How do you cope with that when you get home? Like, how do you turn that off, or is it go into that back portion of your brain, or like what?
Every death is different. I mean, there's some that you're like, I'm good. It didn't affect me. Usually when there's family members around, those are the ones that stay with you. Yeah, I've helped a lot of people.
Because you're seeing the family member have to deal with it.
Yeah. And those can kind of haunt you. I mean, there's one in particular that does, just the mom screaming, but that was also a tragic death as well. But the ones that are, I would hate to say plans, but the ones that they're going to comfort care, you do get tearful. You see other family members crying, and I'm somebody that has a large amount of empathy. I can feel other people's emotions really easily. So that does affect me, and totally healthy to cry with them, hug them as well. And that has helped. If it's something that still sticks with you, writing has helped me. So I'll go home and write something out. And so
which is part of the reasoning behind this book, right?
The part of the reason behind this book is I wanted to give back to my profession because my career was cut short. It was cut short by incredible amount of insomnia, and it was cut short by some administrators that were horrible people, to be honest. And so I wanted to tell a story that shows what that profession is like, and also give back to that profession by donating a part of those proceeds to those nonprofits. I'm still young. I mean, I still have a lot left in my career, but it just got too much. When you are a flight nurse, you want to make sure your administrators got you back, because you're going to fuck up. It's inevitable. There's going to be mistakes made. And if you work for a good boss, they're going to train that error out of you, or they're going to lift you up. And I've had administrators, I've had bosses like that. I have worked out for a few companies. But the last one that I worked for, With the insomnia catching up, I felt like I was slipping. And if I had slipped and if I had made a mistake, I felt like those administrators were not going to.
It's a life or death matter at that point, right? If you make a mistake.
Can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or it can be a slight error, a slight mistake that they blow out of proportion and they write you up for and you feel like shit for. And you just don't need that. You're already beating yourself up.
Well, it was good on you to catch that and deal with it yourself. I wonder how many people just bottle it up or...
It was tearing me up inside to the part where like I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. Luckily I have other options, and I want to leave when I'm on top of my game. But I did feel myself slipping, and I left before I made that crucial error, or I was put in a situation where I didn't want to be. If I was with a different flight company and I had different administrators, maybe I would still be working. But those two combinations. So I feel indebted to first responders and nurses and flight paramedics and pilots that I've worked with of telling a story to open people's eyes up about what medevac is, what helicopter EMS is. And hopefully I did that.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to really dive into it. So thank you for bringing this. Thanks for signing it. Signed hard copy. We need to wrap this thing up, dude, but I had a fantastic time with you today,
Likewise,
dude. I can't wait to have you back. So I really appreciate Brandon making this connection and you taking the time to come up and hang out with us even after being on call and stuff. So it's really cool, man. This conversation is helped me, honestly, with some different perspective, man. So really appreciate you being open and honest, man. It's hard to do, right?
I feel that the more we talk about this type of shit, hopefully somebody listening to this will feel that connection and, maybe seek therapy if they need it, or just get some ideas from the things that we talked about today. But hey, it's been an honor.
Thanks, man. I don't do this for monetary reasons. It's like I do it to help everybody as much as I can, and I care about everybody as much as I can. So it means a lot when you guys come on and share moments like that.
There's a level of authenticity of this podcast has that you feel it. I mean, I'm a fan of your show. I'm going to be listening. Man. I'm going to be listening to your latest episode.
Well, we're a fan of you now, dude. Thanks for all your service and dedication and what you do now. I think that anybody that works in that field, that level of service is, I wouldn't say it's underappreciated, but I just really notice it here and try to shed a light on it. And I think we should all be grateful that we have people that are willing to step into those positions and help in the hardest times of people's lives, or the end of their life. It's pretty amazing, man. So
appreciate it, man.
Thank you, brother.
It's a huge honor in my life. So thanks.
Yeah. So where can people get the book? You have social media page and a website, right? So it's
so dedefinder.com, and then I'm only on one social media, but at dedefinder. And then the book is only on Amazon, but it's on there.
Shit, man. We didn't even get into the Grand Canyon, Peace Corps, nothing, dude. We just got out of your childhood. So get ready to come back. But thanks everybody for listening today. Go get the book. I'm going to dive into it. We'll leave it here in the studio too, so people can check it out. So Dede, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Bobby, thank you, brother.
Anything you want to close with or shout out with or anything?
It. All right. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, man. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. If you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.